lahat ay konektado, lahat ay pwedeng umasenso. Maraming bagong oportunidad, potensyal na mapapalawak. Mapanegosyo o consumer, kasama ka sa biyaheng ito. With market access, digitalization, and logistics integration, sulong Pilipinas. Madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado. Nasa kamay mo ang lahat. Basta e-commerce, sabay-sabay ang pag-angat. Basta e-commerce, isang click na lang yan. Online selling at online shopping, lahat ng iyong hanap-hanap ay nasa'yo na sa isang iglap. Maraming bagong paraan, kung trabaho ang iyong kailangan, mundo ang iyong merkado, ipakita mo kung ano ang kaya mo. With market access, digitalization, and logistics integration, sulong Pilipinas. Madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado. Nasa kamay mo ang lahat. Basta e-commerce, sabay-sabay ang pag-angat. Basta e-commerce. Madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado. Madali, madali, basta e-commerce. Madali, madali, basta e-commerce.
The world of today may have changed, yet our belief has always stayed the same. Everyone deserves the good. That's why we've changed for the better. We've made ourselves better, so we can reach those who have just begun to chase after their dreams. So we can give women the light by which to guide their families to a better tomorrow. So we can realize the hope that every Filipino harbors and move forward, leaving no one behind. We're better today, because today is what shapes the future. And in the future, we see everyone leading a lifetime for good. In life, a lifetime for good.
As we wake up to a now changed world, we want you to know DragonPay is with you. We want you to continue with your own journey. A journey that is safe and hassle-free. Pay for the things you want, anytime, anywhere, while keeping your social distance. Build relationships in one tap, and create moments that help protect the people you love. Stay motivated, without forgetting the things that matter, the things that last forever. And when this is all over, we'll celebrate life in a different way. Because life is better with DragonPay.
It's been an exciting journey from incorporating new technologies to understanding our customers' needs. Our ambition at UNO is to be the first full-service digital bank in Southeast Asia. We are creating a single trusted app for addressing a person's entire financial life with speed and ease. That is the power of one.
Whether you're a small business owner or running an enterprise, managing payments is a sensitive and complex matter. When it comes to accepting and sending payments, you want security, speed, and choice. Setting up and integrating with each payment partner individually can be time-consuming. Your solution? Zendit, your secure payment gateway that simplifies online transactions for every business. Zendit is secure, easy to use, quick to integrate with, and supported by a world-class customer success team. Join hundreds of other growing businesses and get started with Zendit today.
Digital Pilipinas is convened by Geyser Maclang in collaboration with the World Fintech Festival and the Singapore Fintech Festival. Supported by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Department of Finance, the Department of Trade and Industry, along with ASEAN Financial Innovation Network, the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines, the Fintech Philippines Association, Global Impact Fintech, Women's Future Conference, and our private company partners, Angkas, DragonPay, GCash, KPMG in the Philippines, Insular Life, Overseas Filipino Bank, The Final Pitch, Tier 1 Entertainment, Union Bank of the Philippines, Kim Store, Unibank, Sendit, and the many more groups and associations comprising our movement Digital Pilipinas. Welcome to the first day of our multi-month journey in Digital Pilipinas. Leading this discussion is the serial entrepreneur, creator, and host of the Philippines' first business reality TV show, The Final Pitch on CNN Philippines. He is also the CEO of Manila-based venture builder Dragon's Nest. Ladies and gentlemen, our host for today is none other than Mr. John Aguilar.
ascenso. Maraming bagong oportunidad, potensyal na mapapalawak. Mapanegosyo o consumer, kasama ka sa biyaheng ito. With market access, digitalization, and logistics integration, sulong Pilipinas. Madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado. Nasa kamay mo ang lahat. Basta e-commerce, sabay-sabay ang pag-angat. Basta e-commerce, isang click na lang yan. Online selling at online shopping, lahat ng iyong hanap-hanap ay nasa'yo na sa isang iglap. Maraming bagong paraan, kung trabaho ang iyong kailangan. Mundo ang iyong merkado, ipakita mo kung ano ang kaya mo. With market access, digitalization, and logistics integration, sulong Pilipinas. Madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado. Nasa kamay mo ang lahat. Basta e-commerce, sabay-sabay ang pag-angat. Basta e-commerce. Madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado. Madali, madali, basta e-commerce. Madali, madali, basta e-commerce.
To formally begin our ASEAN launch, let us welcome the convener of Digital Pilipinas and World Fintech Festival Philippines, who has made all this possible, Ms. Amor Maclang. Ms. Maclang is a co-founder of Geyser Maclang Communications, Inc. She is the Executive Director of Fintech Philippines Association and Chair for Innovation at the European Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines. Among her many advocacies is the nation's technological development, as she is also the Philippine lead under Global Impact Fintech and the director of the PropTech Consortium of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Amor Maclang.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat at magandang umaga to those who are watching in Europe, also in India and in MENA, and good evening to those watching from Australia. So the past few days, we've really been reflecting, is the Philippines ready for the world to come? And I'm not just referring to the ongoing billionaire space race that's actually flooding our feeds. This is just really the beginning. And, who really cares about all these billionaires taking trips to space? After all, this isn't the first time, right? I mean, 60 years ago, it was Yuri Gagarin who first made that groundbreaking move, and this is nothing new. But what makes us all excited is the possibility of mass adoption of space travel within our lifetime, right? So mass adoption being the operative word. Safe and regular space transportation in 30 years, experts say that this would revolutionize the way we travel. And that, in due course, traveling, say, from LA to London will probably approximately take 45 minutes, which is probably what it takes now to get to Quezon City. Innovations in technology don't just happen in space travel. And you know what? What if I told you that innovations are actually being spearheaded with Asia as the sandbox? I mean, would you believe that to be happening? I am actually very much in awe and gratitude to both the leaders of Singapore and the Philippines, specifically the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Department of Trade, and the Department of Finance for paving the way for some of the most innovative, progressive, and enabling cross-border collaborations. Between the governments of Singapore and the Philippines, we are creating networks of roads to trade in trust and also in confidence for SMEs that form half of the world's businesses. The MAS has Proxtera, supporting more than half of the world's businesses. SMEs are the backbone of our global economy. This year, the DTI, through the efforts of both Secretary Lopez and Asik Pacheco, who'll join us in the panel, have launched the updated e-commerce blueprint that will help create more Pinoy e-commerce superstars that's ready to trade with trust and the rest of the world. Sabi nga sa DTI, right, Asik Jean? Basta e-commerce, madali. Where madali refers to market access, digitalization, and logistics integration. And today you'll hear from a Philippine startup that's creating ripples and creating a backbone of e-commerce via the cloud. Mid this year, the Department of Finance through the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has approved the Open Finance Framework, touted as a key enabler for digital transformation and financial inclusion in the country. This is way ahead of the target of the EU's plans towards an open finance strategy in 2022. Last June 2021, the DOF, through its flagship project for digital banking, OF Bank, celebrated its first anniversary. And we will hear later from its president and fellow convener, Ms. Leila Martin, on why digital banking is the future. Today, as we rush peacefully, the day we kick off Digital Pilipinas in its version 3.0, we have grown bigger and more ambitious because of the support of our partners. We stand on the shoulders of giants, namely our market leaders, co-conveners all, Dragon Pay, GCash, KPMG, Insular Life, Bank, Payfin, Fintech Philippines Association, Gift, OF Bank, the final pitch, Tier 1, and Send It. When we have a 110-year-old financial institution sharing center stage with an esports leader, I got my eyes on you, Trey. You promised that K-pop levels of popularity will happen in the Philippines because of esports. Then I know we have something good here. And we're not far off. In our Emerging Voices panel, out of the 8 speakers, 4 are expats who have chosen to make the Philippines as their base to build their tech empires. If that's not the reverse diaspora, which I've been talking about for years, I don't know what it is. Today, we celebrate the start of everything digital and everything Filipino for the next few months. In 2019, we were a scrappy group of advocates and technologists, not just fintechs, who stormed the halls of the Singapore Fintech Festival under the Philippine Team Pavilion. Despite the pandemic, our numbers grew and we were not deterred. And we answered the call of the MAS to be a full digital platform. We rose to the challenge in under 30 days. Oh my goodness. We mounted the first ever iteration of the World Fintech Festival Philippines. This year, we kicked off as a multi-month festival filled with experiments, real-time connectedness amongst business leaders, multiple sandboxes across various industries, technical working groups, and culminating in the creation of a blueprint that would serve as our platform for execution for 2022. In closing, 2022 is an election year for us in the Philippines. And I was just speaking to the owners of our very own MIT, the Mapua Institute of Technology, as to how we need not just to raise our innovation quotient in the country in order to remain competitive, but moreover, we need to demand a technology and innovation quotient from our future leaders. Also in 2022, we will continue to champion technology via Digital Pilipinas 365 days. And we will be there wherever problems need to be solved, money to be made, and lives to be touched. Mabuhay at
Yes.
maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, and welcome to Digital Pilipinas.
Thank you for that inspiring welcome, Amor. Digital Pilipinas is bayanihan, or the unified spirit of Filipinos and Filipinos at heart, striving together for the common good. As such, we are delighted to have so many partners and supporters in our midst, amongst them our national line agencies. The Department of Finance has been very supportive of the development of the fintech industry. The DOF's Open Finance project will be empowering businesses and consumers alike to have greater power over their data and make better financial decisions. The DOF has also been in close collaboration with the Monetary Authority of Singapore. You will hear more of these plans from our keynote speaker, DOF Secretary Carlos Dominguez. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Secretary Ramon Lopez of the Philippine Department of Trade and Industry, Mr. Sopnedu Mohanty, Chief Fintech Officer of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, organizers of the Singapore Fintech Festival and Digital Pilipinas, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this vital meeting. Our experience during this pandemic underscored what we already knew. Our economies will have to quickly adjust to the trajectory of modern digital technologies if they are to remain viable. Those that cannot swim in the digital tide will drown in their wake. Nowhere is the impact of digital technology more pronounced than in finance. Even before the pandemic, the Philippine government encouraged the rapid adaptation of fintech or financial technologies in our country. In fact, we have put in place a liberal regulatory environment to enable fintechs to flourish. On the part of the Department of Finance, our revenue agencies have fully embraced digitalization. Through the help of the private sector, we have set up a number of e-payment and e-filing channels to improve tax collection and administration, curb corruption, and strengthen the business climate in the country. The digital transformation of our revenue agencies proved to be crucial when COVID-19 hit us. We did not fail to collect revenues when people could not go out to file their income tax returns and pay their taxes due. In fact, 90% of total number of annual income tax returns were filed electronically in 2020. This grew to almost 100% this year. This could be considered a major breakthrough given the fact that only 10% of the country's taxpayer made use of digital tools to file their income taxes in 2015 before our administration took over. Aside from the private sector, our development partners have been instrumental in helping realize the full digitalization of our tax system. For instance, the United States Trade and Development Agency is assisting us to institute digital reforms in the Bureau of Internal Revenue. South Korea has also been supporting the Bureau in developing an electronic invoicing system. In addition, we are consulting with officials of the Russian Federation Tax Service to possibly replicate Russia's very efficient value-added tax tracking and collection system. This will help set the stage for a world-class tax administration in the Philippines. The Bureau of Customs, for its part, recently launched the Philippines Customs Modernization Project supported by the World Bank. This is a major step towards aligning our processes and standards with the best customs services in the world. Apart from these, we are also rolling out our national digital ID system. This will further hasten our transition to e-governance. The system will transform how public services are accessed and delivered in the country. We also launched several digital channels aiming to broaden financial inclusion in our society. These include a mobile application that allows our people to buy and sell Philippine retail treasury bonds using their smartphones and other digital devices. Meanwhile, our government-owned overseas Filipino bank officially became the first branchless digital-only bank in the country's history. This milestone fulfills President Duterte's campaign promise to create a bank that caters to overseas Filipinos. It will also help the Philippines leapfrog to the digital economy. As we expand digital channels for financial transactions, the government financial institutions and other agencies under the Department of Finance are developing a cost-effective strategy to shield our financial systems from potential cybersecurity threats. This will safeguard all investors from fraud and protect privacy to the fullest. On the part of the Bangko Sentral, it is spearheading reforms to provide a regulatory environment that promotes an efficient, inclusive, safe and secure digital payments ecosystem. The strategy towards achieving the said objective is outlined in its Digital Transformation Roadmap 2020 to 2023. Our digitalization efforts, we always encourage close collaboration with the private sector. We believe that the private sector's expertise and initiative to adopt digital innovations will help us anticipate the changes in the digital economy. The private sector can help us provide a more nurturing policy environment for fintech. Our greatest advantage in transitioning to a new economy is our highly talented, tech-savvy, and young workforce that can provide the intellectual capital to fintech-focused investments. I am confident that a strong partnership between the private sector and the government will help the Philippines breach the digital divide and achieve President Duterte's goal of financial inclusion for all Filipinos. Thank you.
Thank you for that message, Secretary Dominguez. There are many things that we as a country can look forward to, especially in the growth of e-commerce. That is one aspect of digital tech that can boost industries and generate employment and revenues for our people. As the Secretary himself has remarked on several occasions, digital transformation is indispensable to the Philippines' continuous march to progress. That is why, in connection to what this convention is about, the Philippines, through DOF, is holding dialogues with Singapore to help build a robust tech ecosystem in our country, while highly skilled Filipinos contribute to Singapore's regional leadership position as an innovation hub. We now have a message from Secretary Lopez. Ramon Lopez, Department of Trade and Industry. Direct.
inviting us to be part of the virtual ASEAN launch of Digital Filipinas 2021. We'd also like to acknowledge...
Direct, I could hear your audio on.
Secretary Carlos G. Dominguez III of the Department of Finance, Philippines, Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Ms. Amor Maclang, distinguished panelists and guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. We'd like to thank Geyser Maclang Communications for inviting us to be part of the virtual ASEAN launch of Digital Filipinas 2021. We'd also like to acknowledge the audience present here, including industry chiefs, knowledge partners, and stakeholders that would help us lead the Philippines towards the future. The Department of Trade and Industry is one with the Digital Pilipinas movement in believing that the Philippines can be a future technological leader in Southeast Asia. And like everyone here, we know this can only be achieved with a whole of society approach, that is, all of us working together to build back better in the post-pandemic tomorrow. Fortunately, the Philippines has a number of advantages that it can utilize. One is that our country is built for e-commerce. According to the 2021 digital report, the Philippines remained the top country in social media and internet usage worldwide. What's more, e-commerce adoption in the Philippines grew from 70% in 2019 to 76% in 2020 and 80.2% in 2021. We saw this especially last year with e-commerce coming to our rescue during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many online businesses filled the void left by brick-and-mortar businesses affected by the community lockdowns. Online retail, delivery services, online entertainment, digital services, telehealth, work-from-home arrangements, digital payments, all of these helped us in the past year and continue to do so until now. Thus, it is not surprising that we saw the number of online businesses increasing last year based on DTI's business name registration next generation system. The number of online businesses involved in retail trade jumped from 1,848 in January to March of 2020 to 88,575 by the end of the year 2020. Presently, the total number of online business names registered for retail trade is now around 105,159. That is why we launched early this year the updated e-commerce Philippines 2022 roadmap, which the public and private sectors had collaborated in crafting together. Through this roadmap, we aim to increase the contribution of e-commerce to the Philippines GDP. To this end, the roadmap's goals are increase the number of e-commerce enterprises from 500,000 in 2020 to 1 million by 2022, develop a digitally skilled workforce to support the growing e-commerce sector, and empower online consumers and build trust between merchants and buyers. We also have a number of interventions that offer e-commerce skills to help our people upskill and reskill during the pandemic. In particular, the DTI e-commerce office has developed a trabajo or jobs training pathway aimed to those who want to get jobs in the e-commerce, and a negosyo or business training pathway that would assist micro, small, and medium enterprises. Focusing on the negosyo pathway, our Control Plus B's Reboot Now program began in April 2020 at the height of the lockdowns. Since the pandemic, we have conducted a total of 121 sessions attended by over 37,000 participants. Meanwhile, our Pivot Embrace Technology Now, or PET project, which follows the Trabajo pathway, had its first component implemented last March 2021. Attending this initial event were 140 participants composed of senior high school students or those that had been unemployed by the pandemic. Other components are now being implemented, like a certification program for digital careers and work remote. In terms of policies and actions, we already mentioned the e-commerce roadmap that lays out the framework and strategic directions we need to help us achieve our goals by 2022. In particular, we need to focus on market access, digitalization, and logistics integration. Meanwhile, our lawmakers are currently making headway on the proposed Internet Transactions Act, and we are doing the same with the e-commerce policy agenda, online dispute resolution system, and the digitalization of micro SMEs. The DTI is also pushing for the country's ratification of the United Nations Convention on the Use of Electronic Communications in International Contracts to push for cross-border e-commerce. Before the pandemic, the government was already utilizing digitalization and GovTech to push ease of doing business. That is why the systems were already in place when COVID-19 accelerated the adoption of e-commerce and facilitated the digital transformation of businesses. In 2020, more than half of total applications for business name registration under DTI and other related transactions were processed within 8 minutes and 83% within an hour. We also saw a shift in the business payment preferences of many of our applicants for business names, which saw 67% registration fees made via online payment gateways versus the traditional over-the-counter or the DTI cashier method. To push this further and to fulfill the order of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte last should disappear finally, DTI is initiating a GovTech project for e-commerce dubbed the ECGO. The DTI e-commerce office, which is working with the DICT, with the AIM, DBI Foundation, and Incubator Dado Banatao. They're all working on this project. They aim to tap Philippine-based or local startups to pitch innovative government technology solutions. This should be viable to address areas of concern in e-commerce and create ease and convenience in business amongst government agencies, beginning with DTI. To conclude, the government remains committed in its lead role in enabling the different stakeholders in the country to ensure that our people will reap the benefits of e-commerce, including the jobs and employment created by it. But we are also confident that with everyone working together, our country can ride the wave of technology towards the future to become one of the technology leaders in the region. Thank you very much at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
One, two. Yeah. Test. Can you hear me? Thank you for that inspiring message, Secretary Lopez. Our next keynote speaker is the Chief Fintech Officer of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, whose more than 2 decades of expertise in globalized financial institutions have given him an established and extensive leadership network spanning Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and the Americas. Let us all welcome Mr. Sopnendu Mohanty.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon, wherever we are calling from. I hope you all can hear me. Again, thanks for having me in this wonderful event. I must say, congratulations to Team Philippines to pull together this program. As I said, I always believed that if there's one market in Asia which has the highest potential to digitally transform rapidly, it is the Philippines. Primarily because of the statistics shared by the speakers ahead of me on the sheer number of social platforms on which a lot of people in Philippines reside and interact and transact clearly shows that the digital nativeness of the society, and that can be taken advantage of, and that can truly transform the space. I think what has happened during the whole pandemic is we have seen a significant shift, or rather, a significant momentum which was already there, and that shift has progressed quite rapidly in the area of financial services, whether it's trade or payments or building deeper connectivity between different jurisdictions, countries. Clearly, that has shifted a lot of narrative, which is now making things easier than what it used to be before the pandemic. So my big message today would be that we are seeing. I mean, in fact, by the way, I may be wrong, but I just heard that Philippines recently issued through digital bank license, and that's a big trend. A lot of countries in this region are issuing digital bank licenses, primarily because they believe you need to create a new construct, a greenfield infrastructure by which you can leapfrog many traditional constraints you have today in incumbent structure. So that's a huge positive sign. We see also Philippines part of that whole step. But I thought today for the audience not to repeat what other have spoken earlier or people may be speaking. I just want to focus on 3 or 4 things for next 5 minutes. Is that I think we collectively believe that the world is shifting to 3 big areas. One, the rise of embedded finance, which means finance will move out of the buildings of banks, insurance companies, or from their own website and get into the endpoint where people interact digitally, be it the e-commerce platform, be it the social network platform, be it the travel network platform or food, lifestyle, wherever you digitally interact, finance will start operating at the endpoint, which we call as embedded finance. So that's one huge shift in 5 to 10 years going to happen, which means the regulatory collaboration required within the country with different agencies, different sector will get more complex, and there are issues to deal with, cybersecurity, common standards, API networks have to be far more robust and pervasive as we see this all getting connected. The second big shift would be decentralized finance. With the rise of the technology behind cryptocurrencies and the rise of smart contracts, DeFi's, a lot of experiment by central banks themselves in the CBDC space has definitely raised the bar in terms of how the future financial products will look like. And one prediction is that the future of finance will also get highly decentralized. And this decentralized products will run on a self-executing instrument called smart contracts, which has the financial instrument, the regulation, the compliance, all codified into a financial product, and that gets part of the new age financial services. And the third aspect would be the network, the infrastructure itself will make a shift. What we see today is the internet, where we are running all our application, and internet is helping to move information from point A to point B. The future infrastructure will be what we call as Web 3.0, where a combination of many technologies will operate to do a few things. Not only transfer information, also transfer ownership and value. And to do that, you need what we call as classic Web 3.0, where we'll see a further progress in AI, machine learning, IoT devices, quantum computing, DLT fabric. So all this will start coming in and building the future infrastructure on which financial services are going to run. And that becomes the third trend as we look forward. But between now and the trend catching up to real life and real product, there are a few things countries will do together. The payment infrastructure will get far more digitized, will get far more modern, will get connected. The trade infrastructure will get far more digitized. Again, they'll get connected. Especially countries like Singapore, Philippines will start getting digitally connected. The role of data will be far more governed, but also get far more trusted, and it can be shared in a very efficient and a comfortable way for protecting customers. So with those three big trends and the shift in infrastructure, I think the future looks far more exciting, and I hope the momentum which has started with Singapore, Philippines, through these programs and platform will continue to proceed and build the future of financial services, which is way different from that is today. The future will be far more better, far more beautiful, and far more purposeful. Especially, we believe three things will underpin this thing: trust, empathy, sustainability, and a shared prosperity. Thank you very much.
Direct, I'm just here. Please cue me. Thank you, Saul, for showing to us the new innovations that we can expect from this partnership between Singapore and ASEAN. Discussion among some of the privers and decision makers in the Philippines. Joining Ms. Maclang as discussion leader and panelist is Mr. Madia, the co-founder and global chairman of Global Impact Fintech Forum, or GIFT. GIFT is 5 member countries across all regions. The global nonprofit think tank on innovations from the Banco Central, Alvaro, the deputy director and head of led the Financial Innovation and Policy Research Group, which serves as the primary contact for BSP regulated fintech players in the Philippines. From the Department of Trade and
Also joining us is Assistant Secretary Mary Jean Pacheco from the Department of Trade and Industry, whose important role in DTI's Digital Philippines and Department Legislative Liaison Office and Liaison Office for Legislative Affairs will give us more insights on e-commerce trends. We also have today ASEAN Financial Innovation Network, or AFIN Director, Mr. Peter Franken, in today's important panel discussion. Founded by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, IFC World Bank, and ASEAN Banking Association, AFIN is dedicated to fostering financial inclusion and digital transformation across Asia. We also have with us Ms. Leila Martin, President and CEO of Offbank, the country's trailblazer in the digital-only cashless banking industry. Secretary Dominguez himself has described the Offbank as a milestone in the country's banking history, which not only caters to overseas Filipinos, but will also help the Philippines leapfrog to the digital economy. Joining the panel once again is MAS CFTO Sopnendu Mohanty. Right now, we turn it over to you, Malik and Amor, to moderate the discussion with our government and regulatory panel.
Hi, Malik. Good afternoon.
Hi, Amor. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone.
It's a rainy afternoon here in the Philippines, and I wish everyone.
On my script, on the
I hope you guys are all dry.
I'm not moving anywhere.
And
It's
also,
just there. It's just there. Yeah.
sorry. I hope you guys are all dry, and I wish you all a strong connection wherever you're coming from. Malik.
Thank you, Amor. Hi, everyone from the sunny shores, or rather the rainy shores currently of Boracay. I'm currently on vacation, but When Amor tells me that you have to be a part of this and moderate the panel, I cannot say no, even if I'm on vacation. So it's a pleasure. Good morning, good afternoon, mabuhay, and magandang umaga to everyone. It's a pleasure to be moderating this panel with 5 leaders from the ASEAN region, and we've already had the pleasure of listening to Secretary Dominguez, Secretary Lopez, and of course my old colleague and one of the best known fintech personalities or fintech policymakers in the region, so Nendu. With that, I think it's a great segue for our discussion. So we have limited time. We have 5 experts, and I would have loved an hour or more, but we have limited time, so lots of things for me to try and cover. Therefore, we shall skip the introductions. I'm hoping everybody obviously knows, Swapnendu quite well, and Mel. I think Mel was unable to join from the BSP, but we have Ace as a replacement. And for the rest, we have leaders from the government. So we will jump straight away. And with that, let me start with the question to Swapnendu. Sops, you obviously, you and the MAS are seen as trailblazers in the ASEAN region, and you spoke about 3 forces or 3 things which you believe are shaping or reshaping the future of financial services. You spoke about, smart contracts. You spoke about embedded finance. I'll probably zoom out a little bit and maybe from a policy perspective, during your time in MAS, we've seen quite a few initiatives, right from the sandbox to the MCBDCs, etc., that we are seeing. And time permitting, I would like to cover a couple of them. To start with, can you share a little bit about your experiences and learnings in launching and running the regulatory sandbox? What would be the 1 or 2 things you believe worked really well and were instrumental in fostering the fintech ecosystem and positioning Singapore as a regional hub or capital, while at the same time 1 or 2 things which you probably saw as key challenges, and therefore what do you think could be the learnings for the Philippines?
Sure, thank you, Malik. I will onset say that you don't need a sandbox to be progressing on fintech. Sandbox is just a tool, one of the many tools you need to have. I always quote this example, Malik, saying that look at Kenya. They're the world's largest sandbox when they launched the M-Pesa. They don't need a fancy word called sandbox. So first thing, I want to make it very clear, you don't need sandbox to innovate. It is just another tool. Second thing, one thing we have learned during the process of sandbox is also that the sandbox is not a static thing. It evolves. And it started with few regulators like us and FCL UK putting this concept. But I can share with you my own personal experience has been the best sandboxes where you do things in real life. And you allow certain policy support to do things in a real way. The reason I say this because the sandbox construct of MAS and Singapore, a lot of people perhaps are not aware or maybe aware, it is a production sandbox construct, which means when you apply for a sandbox program to MAS, you have a real system, you have a real customer, and you have a real transaction happening in that sandbox. And you are given a certain constraint by the regulators to operate so that you don't create new risk in this new experiment. But it's a real customer, real transaction, real system. After the period of sandbox, if you are successful, you get to operate on a scale by following the full expectation of the regulatory processes. This is a sandbox where the outcome is going to be real, is the first distinct difference of running a successful sandbox. Second, not everything which needs an experiment should come to the regulator, because there are many experiments where there is no policy barrier, there are no regulatory barrier. And for that reason, because we'll talk more about it, is the creation of the API exchange platform. It is a market-led sandbox where people collaborate, experiment, fast-track the process of digital adoption. So I'll not talk much about it, let Peter talk about it, but that's the second complementary sandbox which allows market to innovate faster. So that's the second way to think about sandbox. And lastly, perhaps the most important part, that you must ensure the sandbox are only for pursuing product which is going to benefit all of us means citizens and the people. Regulators and public good like Apex are not in the business of promoting commercial gain. We are promoting technology will help people to progress. So that public good is also a key characteristics of a sandbox to be successful.
Thank you, Sops. And those are great points, that sandbox by itself may be a necessity, but not, kind of a sufficient condition, or it may not even be a necessity, and try to make it real life, but also look at opportunities beyond and outside the sandbox. I think that's a great segue to the next question, which I direct to Peter. Peter, Sops spoke about this Apex being an industry-led sandbox. It's something that we've been hearing about regularly, and it's really seen as one of the more innovative solutions, public-private partnership solutions, where the regulator is taking the lead, and it's really bringing all our talks and ideas of cross-border and ASEAN as a single market to, or at least it's trying to bring it to life. I think our audience will be keen to hear a little more about Apex, where it is along the journey. And I know that Union Bank and perhaps a couple of other players from the Philippines are part of this. So maybe you can share a little more about Apex, its road ahead for the next 18 to 24 months, but also where do you think specifically it can be an enabler or a significant help for the Philippines fintech ecosystem?
Monica, thank you so much. And hello, everybody. I'm joining you from very hot and shiny Tokyo. We're T-1 on the Tokyo Olympics. And I'll try to answer the question, but there's a lot of elements to that. I think, first of all, a little bit about the Apex platform. As Sops was talking about, it was conceived with Sops' leadership, a couple of years ago. And it really came from a problem statement around how can we accelerate the collaboration between fintechs and financial institutions. We had observed that even though there's a lot of fintechs and a lot of technology is becoming available, we saw that the collaboration between financial institutions and fintechs was going extremely slow. And we started to say, well, what are these hurdles? Why is that not happening? And of course, in the news, we read a lot about neobanks and big banks doing this or that. But the reality in Asia is that most people that are being served by a bank is a bank that is not digital yet. And on top of that, there's a lot of people in Asia that are not being served by any bank, digital or not digital. So that is a huge opportunity and a problem at the same time that needs to be solved. So Apex was really designed to provide the tools and help within the sandbox to help specifically countries like the Philippines on their journey to financial inclusion, and also for many banks on their journey to digital. Right. So, and if you can imagine that even the larger banks are having, have been to the game in terms of being digital, only starting to become digital now. So there's a lot of challenges to do that. The technology we're seeing today has been out there for quite a while. The cloud, AI, blockchain, the ability to use APIs to quickly build things together has been there, at least for 5 years, if not 10 years, has been in our heads. So on Apex, what we have done is to create, as we said, a sandbox. What is a sandbox? It's not a box with sand. In this case, this is an ability to put fintechs together that can come together and quickly test out new ideas using APIs. And APIs is kind of, as Amor beautifully calls it, it's the language of love between fintechs. This is how we quickly can connect things and build things together and test them out with banks, etc. So that is something we started 3 years ago, and this has been continuously been evolving. As we have been working with fintechs and banks, we started to understand more and more about how to facilitate that process. But also with COVID, we also started to see that a lot of smaller banks and microfinance institutions really started to say, we want to go digital. If we don't go digital, we can't do our businesses anymore. People, are staying at home. There's also a lot of other problems that we have been seeing, mass floodings and other things that have basically caused the financial system to go digital faster. So in that, when we look at smaller banks and medium-sized banks that have not gone digital, there's a lot of hurdles to do so. A lot of that has to do with technology understanding. A lot of that has to do with how to manage technology risk. A lot of that has to do with regulators not being sure if the smaller banks, are ready for digital, understand the challenges of security, understand challenges around cloud computing. Then there's also challenges around capital, money that is needed to go digital. There's investments needed. And then there's a lot of know-how as to how do you do that? What do you do with your current infrastructure? How do you train your staff to go digital and all these things? So if we think about all these hurdles, Apex has been trying to focus on the hurdles that we can bring to the financial industry and help fintechs to solve these problems collectively with banks and basically jump over these hurdles. Even though the banks may not have all the capital, may not have all the know, may not have all the technology, we can share things together. And by sharing, we also are able to reduce the risk that there is in decisioning. If you have to do everything on your own, you'll have to check and test everything on. That's a lot of work. But if we do this in the community, if you imagine there's many banks in the Philippines that we jointly try to do these things, then it becomes possible to share solutions together instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. But also by sharing, we kind of remove the risk of making decisions. We know, hey, that's working there, that will work for me too. And that's been kind of a novel idea in the banking industry. A lot of banks have developed all their things in isolation from each other, and it has been almost no sharing of successes and failures. So I think that's a very important element. I think on the regulatory side, we're trying to work, of course, Apex was founded by MIS in Singapore, but with SOPs and many other regulators, there's a tremendous amount of dialogues happening. So how do we tune into this need to go digital? How do we tune into the risks? How do we, what tools and what common thinking can we bring there? So that is kind of what Apex is. And in that we use a set of tools, the sandbox I mentioned. We're running hackathons where fintechs and banks can experiment in the public. We're doing things around how to make the connection between old systems and new systems easier. We're calling that the Apex Digital Twin. That's a technical solution. And we're working on what we call prefab banking. Prefab banking is I kind of call it a bank in the sandbox. It is more or less prefabricated tech stack for banks to go digital. And on top of that, we're working currently on a program to kind of take the risk out of procurement, which is another major hurdle that a lot of banks have, by setting up a program around procurement. So those are kind of the things that we're working on and kind of in the roadmap. A lot of these things will be available at the Fintech Festival or before or after that. But we're really trying to build this kind of hurdle, obstacle-free world for all of us, so to speak, to get access to technology and go digital.
Hi, Malik and Peter. You mentioned something very interesting that I'd like to jump on quickly, which is about procurement. And that really leads us to why we're excited to have ASEC Jean Pacheco, who's actually leading the digitalization of MSMEs. And we hope to find a way to really connect the Department of Trade and Industry in their championing of many of the MSMEs together with the platform of the MAS, which is Proxtera, and that's really bringing us all together into one united economy. But before I jump into ASEC Jean, who's our star in the e-commerce platform, allow me to just welcome our friend from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Mr. Ace Alvaro, because Director Mel Plabasan, who's the darling of the fintech, I call him the darling of the fintech industry here in the Philippines, called this morning, and unfortunately he's down. He wants to assure everyone it's not COVID, and we'll be seeing more of him over the next few months. ASEC Jean, how's everything in the e-commerce front?
Industry. It's raining cats and dogs where I am, so I hope that the signal will not be as bad. But seriously, with that question, I have too much to say and too little time. But We just had the launching of the e-commerce roadmap, and of course, this is the best opportunity to tell everyone that thanks to the private sector, we've government and the private sector worked very hard into launching this updated roadmap. Thank you for mentioning that earlier in your speech. If you want a quick story about the roadmap, it's the tagline says for itself. It's basta e-commerce madali. For those who don't speak Tagalog, madali is either easy or fast or convenient. So in Tagalog, when it's e-commerce, it should be easy, and we want to make e-commerce easy. And not only that, we did a little bit of another take to remind us of looking into the ball. And what is that ball? It's madali. It's focusing on the ball. We want e-commerce to be more robust in the country, and we have to focus on one, market access, two, digitalization, and then the third one is logistics integration. And by digitalization, we actually mean digitalization of businesses, the digitalization of government, and of course the digitalization of people. So it's quite interesting everything that we're doing so far. We're doing this with the private sector, with the entire e-commerce ecosystem, whether it's starting from the micro, small, medium enterprises, the online sellers. We have the platforms, the fintechs, the logistics service providers, and of course taking into account very clearly the consumer. So it's really quite an exciting time for e-commerce, and we are really very happy that we have this occasion to sort of share to everyone that government is really working hard. As I said, as my principal said earlier, to increase e-commerce growth, to increase the number of sellers, the number of buyers, and make them buy more frequently, build trust in e-commerce, and of course empower the consumers, especially the online consumers.
Asik Jean, before I turn it over to my friend Malik, you have our support, especially with regards to the back-end logistics side. Also, at the same time, we will connect you via Apex and AFIN. Peter, my friend, it's sunny in Tokyo. I hope we're with you on this in our journey for MSMEs. And in August, we'll be creating another initiative that will connect the DTI with Proxterra that will allow you to connect to the rest of the world. Maraming salamat, Asik Jean, for all your service.
Thank you.
I'm such a big fan. Let's look for the
Thank you.
e-commerce superstar of the Philippines, Malik. We all hate you for the record for being in Boracay. So allow me to just say what is in everyone else's mind. Thanks, Malik.
You don't mince your words, Amor, do you? Or your feelings. But it was well deserved. 18 months of no travel in the pandemic. So this is my little way of contributing to the local economy of the Philippines. I hope you will see that.
Thank you, my friend, for being here.
In context. My pleasure. As you keep saying, right? I and to a certain extent, SOPs, we are now honorary Filipinos, right? And for me, this is my second home. So obviously, special affinity and affiliation. So thank you for your comments, ASEC Jean. In fact, what we heard from Peter and ASEC Jean is some sort of a common thread on the platform economy, on kind of marketplaces, two-sided marketplaces, whether it is in the context of banks or whether it is in the context of commerce and transactions. And I think two things were pretty consistent in both your what you articulated. And if I had to summarize it in one word, I would say it's frictionlessness or frictionless interactions, whether it's between banks and fintechs or sellers and consumers. And it's essentially all about making it faster, cheaper, or faster, easier, and quicker. Basically, faster, cheaper, easier is the way to go about it. Now, I will use that segue to go to the BSP, which is obviously doing some great work and has been doing for the last few years. Welcome, Ace, and in fact, in my interactions with the BSP over the last few years, I've said this many times in public forums as well. that I consider them to be very aggressive regulators, amongst the most progressive in the region, and I'm sure Sopnendu will agree with this assessment as well. There are quite a few things that BSP has been a pioneer of, whether it is in terms of eKYC for financial inclusion, or the kind of work that PR does in her financial inclusion group, etc., with a very specific context of the Philippines and its needs for digital financial inclusion. But we've seen, despite that, and especially so after the pandemic, we've seen these twin forces, right? That Secretary Lopez also spoke about. On the one hand, it's been extremely painful. We can see the pain. In fact, I can sense the pain even in a place like Boracay, where so many businesses, small businesses, restaurants, etc., are still shut. And on the other hand, as Jean said, it's been a lifesaver for the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Transactions have gone digital. You talk to banks and my banking friends, it's grown by 600%, 700%, 800% in a year, not 8%, but 8x. Despite that, we see the challenges of inclusion in the Philippines. Less than 1/3 of the adults have access to mainstream financial services or bank accounts. That means we're talking of over 50 million adults in the Philippines who have either who are unbanked or underbanked. My question to you is, obviously we all are here because we believe digital and a whole of the nation approach is the way to solve our problems, and it can really enable not just big businesses, but the micro, small, and medium enterprises, as we passionately heard more and G talk about it. But tell us one thing that we are seeing a lot, and this is something that the MAS announced, and I had the pleasure of asking this question to Sopnendu at another panel a few weeks back as well, on CBDCs and cross-border collaboration. We see so many central banks, and of course China has been off the blocks. It's considered as one of the leading ones. But on the other hand, you have a really tiny country like the Bahamas, an island nation in the Caribbean, which is going over there. We've seen all sorts of experiments, and depending on which report you read, the BIS came up with a recent report which said that I think more than 2/3 of central banks all over the world are either actively working on their own CBDC roadmaps or have implemented some pilots already or are evaluating it. I want to ask, where does the BSP stand on this, and how, if at all, do you foresee this to be the next driver or the next leg in driving financial inclusion, which we've made a lot of progress, but we are still away from our end goal, which is, if not 100%, at least 80 to 90% inclusion, and inclusion is what we are all passionate about. So tell us your views on CBDCs, and where does BSP see this thing for the Philippines over the next maybe 24, 36 months? Yes, I'm not able to hear you. I don't know if it is just me or...
Yeah, we all can't hear.
Can you try putting on headphones? Might work.
Hi, Ace. Maybe while we're waiting for Ace to come on, we'd like to hear from the representative of Secretary Dominguez himself. I remember President Leila, when we were having a chat with the Office of the Secretary, they said that they cannot imagine anyone else talking about the championing of Philippine banking in the Philippines more than you. So what do you have cooking in OF Bank? And I heard that beyond just overseas Filipino workers, you're really looking at a greater community at large. President Leila?
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for having me. You are correct, Amor. Although based on the EO44, which was signed by President Duterte in 2017, the OF Bank was created to provide the banking requirements of overseas Filipinos. But Amor is correct in saying that we are expanding our banking services to all Filipinos wherever they are. It's the reason why we develop, based on the guidance of what we call our digital transformation pillars, the Department of Finance, our parent bank, the Land Bank of the Philippines, and of course the regulators, the Banco Central and the Monetary Board, we transitioned a traditional brick and mortar bank, the Philippine Postal Savings Bank, to become the first, and we went further. We got clearance and the first official license, the first official digital bank license in the Philippines. What we intend to do is to enable all Filipinos to go digital. Let me backtrack a bit more in terms of the pandemic and how things finally shaped up, because amidst the pandemic, OF Bank was able to launch last June. We cannot deny that pandemic really struck hard. We saw hundreds of thousands of OFWs repatriated. Remittances definitely took a dive, particularly at the brought about by lockdowns seems to go about endless. On the other hand, we are also a nation of resilient people. We Filipinos have shown time and again our capacity to adapt successfully to challenges, particularly with our overseas Filipinos, whose grit and determination always come to the fore in the midst of adversity. Our overseas Filipinos and of course our kababayans here in the Philippines still manage to drive the steady flow of domestic and cross-border remittances as we have experienced at OF Bank and still is experiencing now. Everyone has started to embrace e-banking as we're now seeing the shift from cash to digital. From barely a year of operation, we have posted more than 1.5 billion in e-banking transactions, value of e-banking transactions. The transactional numbers we're having now are definitely promising of a positive output for the economy, though we need to focus on making money transfers easier, as articulated by our colleague from the DTI, and less costly to sustain a permanent increase in positive economic output. But I think we are now on the digital era. Everyone is very keen on doing digital payments as well.
Thank you so much, President Leila. And Peter, my friend, remember we were having a chat a few days back about doing a case study project with the Philippine government. This is the virtual handshake, which hopefully will translate to an actual handshake. Meet Miss Leila Martin, the digital banking champion of the Republic of the Philippines via OF Bank. So that's how we roll here in Digital Pilipinas. We want to make sure that we're not just all talk, because as you can see, the weather fails us most of the time, but it's all about making sure that we have projects that go beyond today. Malik, you had a question for Sir Ace from the Banco Central. Malik?
Yes, thank you, Amor, and thank you for that, Leila. Ace, is your computer working now and your connection? Are you finally able to speak? Just try. Otherwise, perhaps I'm.
Yeah. Can you hear me now, Malik? Am I coming clear?
So were you able to? Yes, please.
Okay.
It's not the best, but let's go ahead. I was asking you about the BSP's roadmap for CBDCs.
Yes. About the CBDC, I would just like to echo what has been the statement of our governor for the past few events, which is he's expecting the issuance of CBDC to not really happen in the near term. This is primarily because the growing sentiment inside the BSP is that we don't want to be the first, but we want to do it right. So, and we also would want to consider if we will pursue CBDC, we would want to make sure that there will be an incremental value to be added to our existing digital payments landscape. Well, for one, from the aspect of the wholesale CBDC, the Philippines has a working and an efficient real-time gross settlement system. And there are plans for us to upgrade our RTGS from PhilFast to PhilPass Plus Plus, which will open up more functionalities and greater capacity for our RTGS. Now, on the retail side of things, it is only in the past couple of years that we are experiencing greater traction in terms of elevating the level of digital payments in the Philippines, which is primarily because of the initiation of the national retail payment system. And uh, who could imagine before, no Filipino can transfer their funds from one bank account to the other, but now it is very much a part of our daily lives. So that's one good aspect of the pandemic that was brought out by the pandemic. So again, going back to the question of the roadmap for the CBDC, it is not really a priority, but we are currently in the research and evaluation phase. So we are talking internally and conducting stock taking exercises just to identify the proper use case that we will pursue. Because again, we would want to go to the CBDC with the knowledge that there will be an incremental value, and that it will really enhance what we are currently having with respect to our retail and wholesale payment system. So I hope I answered your question.
Malik and Ace. Hi, Malik. Sorry. Thank you, Ace. And you know, the best way to actually make sure that this connectivity problem does not happen is to head over to Singapore in November. CFTO SOP Mohanty, before we let you go, could you let us know what's happening in November? Everyone is dying to hear what are our plans for November for SFF.
Yeah, well, we will share. Well, that every year we do something different and something big surprise. This year, we're going to focus on the future of finance. By the way, this is also the 50th year of MAS, our Golden Jubilee. So it's a very special year for us in Singapore. We will talk about three big things. We'll talk about Web 3.0. We'll talk about the embedded finance I spoke, and we'll also talk about the decentralized finance. We're going to bring the best technologists, policymakers to discuss very deeply the whole construct of DeFi's, smart contracts, the new tech stacks, new computing powers through quantum computing, and of course the green agenda will continue to drive further this time. So I'm hoping Philippines will join us in a much bigger way, and we're all looking forward together to see new stuff, new ideas, new knowledge, and new people to network.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Malik, before I turn it over to you, that was a great invite from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We currently have, as of 525, 1,041 people who registered for this event, just for this event. And so, you know, this isn't Digital Pilipinas yet. It's just our kickoff. Malik, back to you for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Amor. And it's heartening to see this level of participation and interest, and more power to you and everyone who's championing this. I would have loved to carry on many more questions to ask, but I have been, the organizers have been buzzing me that we are, I think, slightly over time. So I would just request everyone to conclude with closing comments on how do you see or what do you kind of foresee when it comes to Digital Pilipinas? What do you expect from it? Please keep your answers to 1 minute or less, and we'll start with Asek Pacheco, then we'll go to Leila, and then Peter, so Nendo. Finally, we end with Ace. Keep your answers very brief, please, because we are already over time. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start, Malik. Well, in the Philippines, based on BSP data, there is still more than 70% of Filipino households with no deposit or bank accounts. At the same time, more than 30% of cities and the Philippines are movements assistance through public information such as this kind of a public forum, and by bringing together government regulators, policymakers, our national and local decision makers to convince them to prioritize an agenda that will push for greater use of technology in the financial industry. And the eventual shift to digital banking, the practice of Filipinos banking via digital means will certainly be realized. Thank you, Malik.
Thank you, Leila. And we go back to Asek Pacheco. I think there was some issue in hearing you, so perhaps if you can go now, please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to make this quick. We all are always mentioning about the whole of government approach or a whole of society approach. In the e-commerce roadmap, we are introducing a new term. It's an all of e-government. It's a take on the whole of government approach, but nonetheless, it does say it's about government also being equally automated as well as much as the private sector is. So we'd like to assure everyone that that government, we are all working together for a GovTech, more GovTech Philippines, and that really will comprise digital Pilipinas, whether it's private sector, government, and the individual. So thank you for this opportunity, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Asek, Jean, and congratulations once again for your e-commerce roadmap. So over to you, Ace. We've heard DOF, we've heard the perspectives from DTI. What about the BSP in this whole of the nation approach?
Yes, so for the BSP, I think you're also aware of the digital payments transformation roadmap, where we have set our targets that we want to achieve 70% of the population will have bank accounts, and the 50% of the payments will be all digital. So I expect that all initiatives of the BSP are geared towards achieving these objectives. And we're very excited, particularly with our upcoming policies on open finance and enhancement in digital banking. So these are just some of the things that we are focusing on, and we are expecting that hopefully we will achieve those targets, and that we will finally have a more inclusive financial ecosystem in the Philippines. So thank you, Malik.
Thank you. From the outside, let's hear closing comments from Peter and Swapnendu. We've heard from the leaders within the Philippines. What and how do you see digital Filipinas, and what would be your vision for it?
So, Peter.
Okay, thank you, Sobs. Yeah, so I really want to keep it short, but I think we really want to collaborate between countries globally within Asia to foster and speed up the whole digitization of our countries. From an APIX viewpoint, we are super excited to work with many of our friends in the Philippines to bring that technology to the Philippines, but also have active dialogues. How do we take the hurdles out of this whole process? Of course, we'll have regulatory hurdles, industry hurdles, technical hurdles, internal hurdles, whatever it is. We really want to focus on that and make that a really strong collaboration, but also make sure that we reach the goals that many countries have set out for the digital journeys. And I'm super excited to be part of this forum today, and I'm very sure with each of you to have active dialogue to see how we can leverage what APIX has today for your journey. Over to you, Sobs.
So very quickly, just two things. I want to take and extend BSP's statement here, a statement here saying that of the whole digital payment, digitalizing the whole payments ecosystem. But if one thing we can do between Singapore and Philippines is to connect our domestic network. We connected to Thailand for PromptPay and PayNow. I would love to see whether Singapore can connect the domestic payment system to Philippines domestic payment system. That single connection can change hundreds and hundreds of people's lives, especially people are remitting money back home. Because today, for every $100 you send, they are paying $15 to $10 per transfer. We should bring it down to $3 to $4. That's an outcome we should aspire to. That's one. Second, we should connect all our small businesses to a common platform. So transactions, small businesses from Philippines can use that Proxtera platform to trade with any country globally. That's a real system. I strongly encourage digital Filipinas to use that platform for a greater trade connectivity. Let's get these two things connected.
Thank you, Sop. So with that, we come to the end. And if I had to summarize the closing comments in just one word, it is collaboration. Whether it is collaboration between government agencies in the Philippines or cross-border collaboration for a more unified ASEAN, for a more inclusive society in the Philippines and ASEAN. Thank you once again, everyone, for your amazing and very, very candid perspectives. Thank you for sharing so openly. And our apologies once again if the network and connectivity at times were not the best, but just I guess the rain gods were way too merciful today. So thank you for bearing with us, and we hope you enjoyed this. We hope you took away something in terms of how we can build a more collaborative ecosystem, both within the Philippines and in ASEAN.
I think on that note, I will backstop for my friend Malik. I hope you are all dry, and I look forward to having you in Digital Pilipinas. Consider at least one of those two things done, CFTO SOP with regards to the connectivity. Maraming salamat po, and back over to you, John or Karen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amor and Malik. Before we let our leaders go, we request our esteemed panel to take a moment for a quick photo op. Kindly look straight at your cameras at this time. Thank you very much. Here at Digital Pilipinas, we value interaction as it paves the way for innovation. So if any of our invited guests, media partners, and participants have burning questions or even exploratory ideas with regard to our topics, please email them to info@digitalpilipinas.ph, and we'll do our best to address them as soon as we can. For the next two sessions, we will have fireside chats to surface industry issues and challenges, and at the same time, discuss what our market leaders have done. Our next panel will include market leaders whose contributions in tech and innovation are valuable in the Digital Pilipinas initiative. Our first market leader is the dragon behind online payment solutions giant, DragonPay. He is the pioneering fintech in the country and is the current president of the Digital Commerce Association of the Philippines. Please welcome Mr. Robertson Di Chang. DragonPay has recently pushed the boundaries of online transactions by making travel to the northern and southern expressways easier through its cashless RFID systems. Toll-free transactions are now digitized. He played a major role in the boom of Gcash, benchmarking a rise in transaction by 4 times during the pandemic and ultimately hitting 1 trillion pesos by the end of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Winsley Bangit, Chief Customer Officer of Mint. Some of the plans that Mint has for the future are QR codes for each MSME to avoid missending of payments and enabling OFWs to directly pay their bills here at home. Up next is a leader in not just ensuring lives, but creating opportunities for quality life with digitalization and technology. She is the first vice president and head of the Information Technology Division of Insular Life, Ms. Gwen Delara Kelly. Insular Life's products are known for their flexibility. Recently, the company introduced to the market the shorter-term insurance for breadwinners with budgets, as well as the variable unit-linked packages, which offer investment along with the medical coverage. To add insight in the aspect of cybersecurity, IT audit and assurance, process automation and digital transformation, among others, Mr. Jelaine Manrique, the CIO and partner and head of cybersecurity and IT advisory at KPMG in the Philippines. KPMG is at the forefront of using AI to solve major industry problems and seeks to provide businesses pragmatic guidance on the path towards realizing AI's response. Our next leader is Union Bank of the Philippines Senior Executive, Vice President and Chief Technology and Operations Officer. Recently, he was recognized as Privacy Advocate of the Year 2021 by the National Privacy Commission as Southeast Asian Chief Technology Officer of the Year by the European Global Banking and Finance Awards. Let's all welcome Mr. Henry Aguda. Just recently, Union Bank created the country's very first mass retail banking hub, aimed at providing support specifically to micro, small, and medium enterprises, as part of its goal of enabling inclusive prosperity amid the current global health crisis. And of course, the voice of the millennials and champion of innovation in the gaming industry, he founded the Philippines' first gaming and esports talent agency in 2017 to revolutionize the esports landscape in Southeast Asia. Completing our list of today's market leaders is Mr. Trey Gutierrez, Chief Executive Officer of Tier 1 Entertainment. Tier 1 is set to establish its first content creation hub in the Philippines after securing funding from a recent pre-series A round. This funding will help drive its growth in Asia, which it believes is experiencing its golden age in gaming. Such a diversified panel for our fireside chat. To lead this discussion, we have one of the most respected women in the field of fintech in the Philippines. She specializes in the financial services industry, risk management, governance, and business strategy. Aside from being a board trustee of Fintech Philippines, she is also a trustee at the Institute of Corporate Directors PH, as well as trustee and chair of Techno-Ethics at Fintech Alliance. Let's all welcome Ms. Ida Chongson. We would also like to welcome back to our discussion of leaders, Ms. Amor Maclang. Digital Pilipinas, the discourse with our market leaders is now open.
Thank you for that. Okay, my call on everyone. You know, it's raining hard here, but still, it's a beautiful day. Our country is facing a lot of problems, but not everything is down. Really honored to be moderating with this panel with institutions who continue to rise up against challenges. Our panel is the format is a 25-minute panel interview and hope to tackle as many questions. So now I just want to put a foot in the door here in terms of what is innovative leader. So take a moment to think of a business you may regard as an exceptional leader in the industry. When someone says, you know, what's your top of mind? When someone says innovative bank, payment gateway, insurance, accounting, firm, digital wallet, or esports. Next, think about an institution which has come up with interesting and state-of-the-art product and constantly evolving. If you can combine both of this, you will have that description of what is innovative leader. Some innovations do not yet exist with having a regulatory guideline, and there's a need to do sandbox approach. A few of them have done this successfully. We are so privileged to have with us in the same room Philippines innovative leaders, DragonPay, Union Bank, GCash, KPMG, Tier 1 Entertainment, and Insular Life. In fact, number one in certain categories in their industry. So since you guys have already been introduced, thank you for that, Karen. May I go direct to our fireside chat, which is down to the question. I'm going to request everyone, I think we're missing someone in the group. There's supposed to be 6 of us. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll start first. First question, easy question. As market leaders, what are your most recent innovations? I'm going to start with Gwen.
Thank you, first of all, for having me here. I'm honored to be part of this advocacy that's pushing our country in the global stage for tech. At Insular Life, we share the same passion in the sense that we are one of the Filipino-owned companies in the insurance industry that's pushing the boundaries through tech. We have been continuously operating for the past 110 years. We have a strong legacy and proud to be Filipino. And we are fortunate that our top leaders understand our strengths as an old company while being open and fully supportive of the importance of technology in enabling the organization to achieve its goals and expand its business. So last year, amidst the quarantine restrictions due to the pandemic, we launched the Bills Presentment tool, a first in the industry, which enables a straight-through process for billing, payment, and receipting process. We send out the premium billing through SMS or email with a link to a secured payment page to our customers. Once all details are confirmed and payment details submitted, an acknowledgement receipt will be sent via SMS or email to confirm the payment transaction. This year, total collections from this platform alone is at 137 million pesos. In April of this year, we also launched the e-licensing application that automates the process of agents licensing for our new recruits. I believe this is also a first in the industry. This employed development of a self-help portal for aspiring financial advisors where they input their details and submit documentary requirements. We used a low-code application platform to develop and also created an RPA or robotic process automation flow to
Wow.
eliminate the manual encoding of licensing details in our backend systems and even accessing the portal of the insurance commission via a bot. So to date, almost 400 new recruits have been onboarded using this tool, and we have also realized efficiencies around manpower support required to do manual encoding. That's just some of the innovations we have done more recently. Thank you.
Very, very, very good. By the way, Insular Life, of course, is the first and largest Filipino life insurance and the only mutual company in the Philippines, been around for 110 years. So for that, Dick of DragonPay, one of my favorite, Dick.
Thanks, Rita. Well, DragonPay was conceptualized 11 years ago with the main idea of opening up e-commerce to everyone in the country. So our philosophy has always been to adopt as many payment options as possible. And in the short span of the last 2 years, we have seen a significant change in the way people do payments. To give you an idea, back in 2019, 70% of our transactions was in the form of cash, and only 20% was e-wallet. Fast track to today, it's the complete reverse. So we're now seeing 70% e-wallet and 20% cash. So we will continue to keep adapting to the changes in the payment habits of Filipinos. We continue to support the new and upcoming e-wallets, as well as new payment schemes such as the Buy Now, Pay Later or the BNPLs. And we are also actively engaging with partners in the industry to extend our payments for various direct debit capabilities with various banks.
Excellent, excellent. And of course, in case not a lot of people know, it happens to be that DragonPay has partnered with the largest payment gateway in Japan. All right, moving on, may I then request, let me see, Jalen, did I pronounce it correctly? Jalen, what are your most recent innovations? Okay, we can proceed with one of my favorite speaker, Henry Aguda of Union Bank. Henry Aguda, can I just, again, congratulations to Union Bank with your digital platform, and there's so many accolades, so many awards. So please go ahead.
Thanks, Ida. Happy to be here. Good afternoon to everybody. So what's the latest with Union Bank? Actually, we're taking everything that we've done, and a lot of people already, I guess, understand what we've done in Union Bank. I mean, we've partnered with Dick when we started with the Fintech initiative, and we were so lucky to have partnered with DragonPay before. So actually, what we're doing right now is taking everything that we've done in the bank and applying that same transformation template to other industries. So we have projects in logistics. We're happy to announce that we have a logistics platform called XLab that has an end-to-end supply chain financing capability, aside from the real-time tracking of logistics platform. and we're taking that same template and putting it in other government service institutions. There's a lot of them from the LGUs to the national government. So I guess what's new with Union Bank is we're taking the innovation that proven to be successful in the bank and in the banking industry, and then applying it in the other industries as well.
Wow. You're now entering logistics. So interesting. Next up, we have Winsley of Mint, Gcash. And what can I say? They're number one in the market. They're far beyond in terms of, I think you guys are targeting 2 trillion, double of 2020. Anyhow, go ahead, Winsley.
Yeah. Thank you, Ida, for the introduction. And again, good afternoon and honored to be with this esteemed panel. Our vision at Gcash is finance for all. So each one of our digital services was designed to make Filipinos' everyday lives better. So from making payments, as you are all familiar with, and transfers easy and secure for consumers and merchants, we are now at the forefront of democratizing financial services by making it affordable and accessible. So we have new and game-changing products such as G Save, G Insure, and G Invest. So, for example, for those who have trouble making bank accounts, right? Gone are the days that you needed to fill things up, submit it in a branch. You can now safely deposit your money to your G Save and enjoy one of the best savings interest rate in the market today. And also, G Insure allows you to purchase insurance coverage for as low as 39 pesos. Again, all of these services are not just affordable, but accessible in just a few taps in your Gcash app. And also, very recently, we've launched G Invest, which again lets you invest for as little as 50 pesos for local funds and 1,000 pesos for a global dollar-denominated funds. And on top of that, we're also digitalizing businesses while giving easy access to consumers with G Life. So with G Life, this is our app capability. And of course, at a time where businesses are scrambling to digitalize their operations, G Life offers a digital platform and footprint for businesses. Through the mini apps, users can now shop, eat, play with your favorite brands within the Gcash app. You don't need to download multiple apps to enjoy the things that you love online.
It seems that the only thing missing, Winsley, is for you to become a bank.
You know what? We have partners like Union Bank here and of course Dragon Pay. Again, it's a very, very exciting ecosystem that we have now.
Okay, thank you.
Hi,
Jelaine?
Ida.
Hi, Amor. Hi, Amor. You want to chime in?
I ask your permission to ask a question to Trey.
Please go ahead.
Trey, earlier
Hello,
in
what's
my
up?
opening, hi Trey. In my opening, I talked about how the market leader in esports in the country will be sitting side by side with one of the oldest but most agile financial institutions. And I said, we know we have something good, right? But I took exception to the soft promise you made to me, which is what will put the Philippines in the global map by way of popularity at K-pop levels, right? Is esports. So I want you to repeat that promise you made to me to the rest of Digital Pilipinas. We have 1,000 plus, slightly over 1,000 who signed in. We want you to hear that. We want to hear that promise, right?
Sige, I guess for me, like, let me start with, after listening to all of the talks that happened before this, I think Filipinos are naturally digitally native. I feel like digital is really the future, and it in the forefront of everything. I really believe that esports can be something of the future for the Philippines, and the reason why is because there's no limitations when it comes to height, weight, and we're very competitive. We adapt fast, and right now in terms of like Mobile Legends, we rank as the number one country in terms of that space, and that's just one game. That's mobile esports. On the second point, Dota 2, which is one of the biggest PC games in the world, its number one team right now is also a Filipino that's from Cavite. So, like this is one sport that I feel like has no limitations for Filipinos. And as we continuously win in this space, I feel like this is the soft power that the Philippines can have. Like if you look at K dramas and K pop, a lot of the people who don't really understand that language eventually became fans because of the culture and everything that comes with it. And I feel like with esports, we are in a position to be the best in the world. And I'm really excited to what's about to come for this industry. And yes, I think like we will be the biggest soft power to date for the Philippines.
Before we
by
turn
the
it
way,
over to Ida, before we turn it over, Trey, you have our commitment. We already spoke to a few legislators, and we said the most unrecognized digital contributors to the country are the esports and the gamers. So in Digital Pilipinas, that's going to come about very, very soon.
Thank you.
Another esports player, Axie Infinity, I tell you guys, the money they make is more than the remittance that Hong Kong is remitting to the country right now. So let me just leave it at that, right? And you heard that promise of Trike in Digital Pilipinas first. Ida, back to you.
yeah, I am a fan of Trike. Well, simply because my son is such an e-gamer. And yeah, so this is kind of like his level, not my level. But the appreciation is actually happened for me only last year. So I'm actually very happy that you're here. So may I toss back the question to Jelaine, where the innovations that, this is something different. This is KPMG. What's happening there? Because the questions that I've noticed here are more tech solutions driven. What's happening to KPMG? Sorry, Jelaine, can't hear you. No, still can't hear you. Okay, Jelaine, may I get back to you on that one so we can just be efficient on time? Okay, for next question is, has there been there been a recent influx in foreign investments to help with teching up businesses. In your opinion, what do foreign investors look for in a country or in the cities, regions they have decided to have a stake in? This one, if I may just limit the question to, let me see, Dick first, considering that you can actually have a feel of this in terms of having foreign investors or investments in the country.
I think there is not enough foreign investors here in the Philippines, especially to startups, compared to our neighbors, the likes of Indonesia, Vietnam. And I think we still have a long way to go. But definitely, I think the Philippine market is very exciting. There's a large local market. We are a good test bed, a lot of English speakers, so very minimal customizations to be done to be able to use us as a test bed and go to other markets. And I would actually like to take this opportunity to also announce publicly for the first time that DragonPay itself has recently taken on a strategic investment from Sendit, which is an Indonesian fintech and quite well funded by preeminent Silicon Valley investors. So we do see the need for a regional reach, especially in the payment space, wherein we're seeing borders coming down. And the speakers earlier were suggesting that we start opening corridors between countries. So there's going to be a lot of exciting things that will be happening, and foreign investors will give us a ramp into that space.
Okay, I want to get a viewpoint also from Henry, Union Bank.
I'm glad that Dick announced about the investment. That should encourage everybody who's doing their startup. There are a lot of foreign funds that are coming into the Philippines. So when you ask them what are they looking for, one is a real world problem that they need to solve. And kudos to DragonPay, they saw the problem in payments long before even most of the banks have addressed it. So that gave them a lot of value. And second is market size. So the Philippines is still a good sizable market for people to do a startup and to scale that startup. So yeah, good times for startups in the Philippines.
I actually can answer that question
Yes,
also
please.
because we have
Please.
because we have a foreign
Chime in,
investment. I think, to be honest, one of the biggest challenges for Philippine startup is really the 60-40 rule in terms of foreign investment, to be honest. Like, I think that's one barrier because as venture capital comes in, they want to get it till exit, right? And because of that, I mean, putting up your registration in the Philippines is going to be hard for an exit for foreign investments. That's for one. But on the second point, I think in terms of operations and ease of doing business, the ease of doing business is getting a little bit better. But on the second point of putting up your operations here, I think we've already showed it in the BPO space where we can actually be an HQ for a lot of operational activities when it comes to multiple companies. Like, for example, for instance, in Tier 1, we are the HQ for the operations in Myanmar, Malaysia. We're looking to expand into 3 more countries. And something that I really have seen as someone that's running a company like that is that we're very good English speakers. A lot of Filipinos really adapt very well when it comes to the intricacies and all of the other things that are important in the localization for other countries. And yeah, I feel like once we fix the ease of doing business and foreign limitations of 60-40, I feel like we can really be a true hub for venture capital as long as we have Silicon Valley here in the Philippines at least.
Yeah, Shark, you may be happy to know that there is a pending amendment to the Foreign Investment Act, which at the moment is being looked at already. And I hope that would be tackled because I'm with you in terms of the foreign ownership. Thank you.
Ida, just to add to that, Trike and Ida, one of the objectives of Digital Pilipinas is to really consolidate. We're working with legislators. I've met 2 legislators the past 2 days with the help of our fellow trustee, George Rieka. And basically, the intent is how do we get legislative champions to revisit archaic laws that do not serve a digital and innovation platform. So maraming salamat. Keep those issues coming and we'll be sure to collectively address them as a group.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for that info. Winsley, would you mind chiming in?
Yeah.
What do you think foreign investors are looking at? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, again, any foreign investor will always be looking for opportunity and growth, right? And I agree with what Dick said. There aren't enough in the Philippine startup space. However, for example, with Gcash, we do have a foreign stakeholder with Ant Group Financial. And again, it's all about the potential and betting on the Filipino customer and the Filipino way of solving problems, right? Because if you do present, again, a business model that solves problems of Filipino customers, of Filipino businesses, and a business model that you could develop and at scale, definitely investors would be interested in come knocking. Again, there may be not enough, but again, it's an opportunity for everyone here. As long as we come up and ensure that we are solving problems of Filipino customers in a very sustainable manner. Again, foreign investors should be attracted or should be just around the corner. And again, thanks for platforms like Digital Filipinas, right? To shedding light and giving awareness and platforms to Philippine businesses like this.
Okay, thank you.
Wins, I have a request. When you reach 2 trillion pesos, I need you to do this. 2 trillion pesos. And you need to do it in Digital Filipinas. No, seriously, that's a request. 2 trillion. I don't even know how many zeros there are. Hang on. Dr. Henry Aguda. Okay, it's a private joke. Sir, you have XLog. You're the chairman of UBX. We have a very solid platform for the next few months related to e-commerce, bringing local businesses overseas. This is also in partnership with the Monetary Authority of Singapore and with the DTI. May we count on XLog for support and UBX.
101%, Amor.
Maraming salamat, Dr. Henry Aguda. Back to you, Ida.
Good point. Okay, next question. In the digital era, okay, this one I actually reworded a little bit, no, because it's quite lengthy question. I'm going to go straight to the point. And we're talking about building trust when it in line with Secretary Dominguez's speech about building trust when it comes to space. So, in your particular area, how do you handle building trust in your organization? How do you protect your data? May I request Gwen first to tackle this one?
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Especially for insurance data is,
Yeah.
there's a lot of data that we have to gather when from our policyholders. So we have set up an office that basically oversees and governs all the requirements around data privacy and also around information security. And we are continuously strengthening our security posture such that we are protecting while protecting
Yeah.
our systems, our customers, the data that we are maintaining. It's a very it's a lot of work actually, and there's a lot of investments that need to be done around these tasks and activities. But it's something that we are prioritizing.
Yeah, in fact, they're saying, the recent AXA ransomware, they're saying that it's not just the cybersecurity part of it, but the human firewall. So we all have to be a human firewall.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to get the point of the nearly 2 trillion, because I'm sure you have a lot of data. You increased from 20 to 40 million, 1 out of 3 Filipinos. So GCash, how do you protect your data?
Definitely
How do you do
in GCash. Yeah. So definitely in GCash, security of our user accounts is our number one priority. And the platform that we've had is built to protect customers, especially the masses. So we are in fact in a proprietary platform by Ant Financial, which hosts over 1 billion accounts worldwide. And this platform has world-class tools for risk and fraud detection and prevention to ensure the safety and security of our customers. And also besides that, we've launched enhanced security features like biometrics login, which means that we will ensure that there are no unauthorized transactions made from your account. However, we know that we need to continuously protect everyone from external risks. For example, fraudulent and malicious entities. That's why we aim to over-educate our customers, right? In terms of protecting your data, don't share your MPIN, don't share your OTP, because you know what? Protect your details. We will make sure that we will protect your funds.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to get the point of Trey because it's one area that I'm kind of not really aware. How is there such thing as protecting data in the e-gaming space?
I think on our end, especially specifically with our business, not too much. Probably maybe just in terms of games, like allowing, like ways to purchase in-game items and transactions and such. I think
Right.
mostly just there. But for us, like since we're more of like in the entertainment space, right, and in the sports space, right, so it doesn't really apply that much.
Right. And of course, we need to get the point of view of banking. Henry.
Well, protection is a community play. Same for data privacy and cybersecurity. So what we do in Union Bank is basically first follow what regulators advise us to do or mandate us to do. The NPC has laid down very clear guidelines on how to protect the public. And then we coordinate with the regulators and all of our colleagues in the banking industry to do a community play, because you can only protect yourself so much. Some of the attacks or infiltration might come from adjacent to you. So that's how we approach it, Ida.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sorry, just
Yeah.
one point on cyber defense and cybersecurity. In Digital Pilipinas, we're partnering, Henry, with the Department of National Defense, because it's exactly as you said. You cannot claim that you've been robbed when you left the keys of your house for everyone to take, right? So it is a community play, and we need to really work together. So we hope to have you in that advocacy. Ida, I think Jelaine is back to us.
Yes, I'm about to. Yes, Jelaine, back to you. Yeah, great. So what's
Can you hear
happening
me?
with KPMG? Yes, very clear. What's
All
happening
right,
with
so
KPMG?
to your earlier question, I know there was a lot of discussion already about innovation and about protection of data. And when it comes to innovation for KPMG, so we normally talk about three things, right? Digital asset, digital trust, and digital transformation. So when it comes to digital asset, we are creating digital assets already in the firm to complement some of our services that we actually offer to our clients. So one of which is the crisis response tracker. So we developed this app that actually help our clients when it comes to managing their people and emergency response. And when it comes to digital trust, it's all about protection of the trust. So, and as you know, in this day and age, trust is really the currency of digital and digital transformation. And in terms of cybersecurity, data privacy, so we are helping clients and partnering with different alliances to help them in that space. And when it comes to transformation, it's really more about not just transformation. It's not really about technology, but really reinventing the whole operating model. From process to people to the service model to data. So all of those. So we actually help and not just to enable within the firm, but we actually help our clients innovate and make sure that they can carry out all of the projects that they have. And for some of here in the call, there was a mention of robotics process automation, and there was a mention about low code, no code, or data and analytics. Those are in the areas that we are in and helping our clients really enable their transformation project.
Okay. Can you believe it? We're not yet in some of the heart of the questions, but I already got a note here. We have to wrap up. So may I just ask one more? Gosh, I'm hoping there would be more. But okay, which leads to regulators? I've heard about Trey saying about the foreign investments that should be eased up. Which leads to regulators, because sometimes when we're doing sandbox approach, we need to collaborate with regulators for us to go ahead and do our innovation. Do you have any? So anyone can chime in that question. Who wants to go first?
Nobody wants to talk about regulation.
Okay, so I guess the difference between
Ida, if I may.
Union Bank.
Ida, I think the reason why they're not talking about regulators is because our regulators are more of enablers. We're so spoiled. I'm sorry, we're so spoiled. Henry, don't you think? Dick, don't you think we're so spoiled because we are being allowed to experiment and actually to be enabled to work cross industry? Look, in your case, Dick, you're working closely with Drake. In gaming, right? I know Dick is a secret gamer. I know many things about him. So tell us about that, right? Our environment is so enabling. Gwen, even the IC is super supportive of all the innovations that you guys are. Maybe instead of the regulation, how has your regulators enabled you? That's why, right? I think everyone was stumped. What do you guys think?
Yeah. But I think someone was about to say something, though. Winsley, you're about to say something?
Definitely. When it comes to enablement and support, Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Hello?
we can hear you.
Am I
Yes,
clear?
yes. Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. Again, I echo more. I, I echo more in what she mentioned when it comes to again the regulation being very supportive.
Okay, we're
Again,
kind of
also
losing
I think we have
Winsley.
one of the more forward-looking regulatory institutions in the region. Um, but
Totally.
hello,
Yes. Winsley,
hello,
we're
can you hear
losing
me?
you and we've run out of time. So
No.
I'm sorry, we need to wrap up. Can I just have one word description from everyone about Digital Pilipinas and this project that we're kind of like taking up the whole Philippines? Just one word, if you may. Henry?
Essential.
Oh, lost you guys.
It's essential. So I don't know if you can hear me.
I could hear you.
Yeah, so one word is essential. Basically, the things we're doing right now.
Essential.
Ida, for me,
Okay.
it's trust. I think as we tech
Yeah.
up, we should not forget about trust.
Well, I guess
Perfect
for me,
word. Gwen?
yeah.
We lost that.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Well,
what was that again?
Yeah, well, I guess for me, it's passion. I'm seeing passion in everyone in making this work and really pushing, the Filipino, our country, into the world stage in the technology space.
Very
So
nice.
passion.
And Trike? Thank you. And Trike?
For me, innovation, I guess.
Excellent. And Dick?
For me, it's co-opetition.
Co-opetition. Excellent. And Winsley? Okay, I think we may have lost Winsley there. So thank you very much, Dick of Dragon Pay, Gwen
Yeah.
on Insular. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Am I coming
Yes,
through?
Winsley, go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Again, something very short, inclusive.
There you go. Inclusive. Yep, perfect. It has a lot of meaning into it. So again, thank you.
Again, the word is inclusive.
Inclusive. We got that. Thank you.
It's really finance for everyone.
Excellent. So again, thank you, Dick of DragonPay. Thank you, Gwen of Insular Life. Thank you, Jelaine of KPMG, Trike of Tier 1 Entertainment, and of course, Henry Aguda of Union Bank in the Philippines. Thank you, market leaders. Back to you, Amor.
Thank you, Ida. Thank you so much, Miss Ida Tiongson.
Thank you, Ida.
A
Thank you,
champion
Amor.
for women and inclusion in the country. Back to you, John and Carla. Thank you.
Thank you, Ida and our panelists. We once again request our esteemed panel to take a moment for a quick photo op. Kindly look straight at your cameras at this time.
Can we have Gwen back in? Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. We're sure questions and ideas are brewing in the minds of our guests, participants, and media partners. So we encourage everyone to email us at info@digitalpilipinas.ph and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Our next fireside chat will be moderated by the co-founder and CEO of NFT63, which is the pioneering business model and agency for NFT and digital artists in the Philippines. He is also a cryptocurrency entrepreneur, author, and the country's highest earning NFT artist in the Philippines to date. Let us welcome our discussion leader, Mr. Luis Buenaventura. Our first emerging voice is the Chief Transport Advocate of Angkas, the country's #1 app-based motorcycle ride-hailing service, and was recently named one of the 7 honorees of the Outstanding Young Men for 2020 for his work in improving mobility. Let's welcome Mr. George Royeca. Our next panelist has made his mark by becoming the country's leading purveyor of luxury e-commerce in the food industry. Ladies and gentlemen, an emerging voice in food e-commerce and co-founder of the Bowtie Duck, Mr. Julian Marie. Online gadget store Kim Store has become one of the biggest e-commerce players in the Philippines. Joining us today to champion women and youth in technology for business is the woman behind it all, Kim Store owner, founder, and CEO, Ms. Kim Lato. Next up is angel investor and advisor who is passionate about entrepreneurship that will change e-commerce in Southeast Asia using cloud technology. He is the co-founder and CEO of Locad, Mr. Constantine Roberts. Next is a strong advocate of EduTech, who has pioneered Philippine Coding Camp, formerly known as Manila Coding Camp. The president of PCC, Mr. Gabriel Avelino Gino San Pedro. We also have Uno Bank CEO and co-founder, Mr. Manish Bai, whose vision upon leaving the comfort of the corporate world behind was simple: to put people first when it comes to banking. Let's welcome Mr. Manish Bai. Next is author of Blockchain, a catalyst of good governance in the Philippines, a book that explores how blockchain technology can alleviate many of the pressing issues that plague the Philippines and its economy and businesses today. Let's welcome J. Ricky Villarante. For our next panelist, it is our pleasure to introduce to you another leader and pioneer in women in fintech and blockchain, Ms. Yang Yang Zhang, Managing Director of Sendit. Luis, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking around. We are kind of now on borrowed time because the event has gone on a little bit longer than we thought. I've got 8 awesome people with me tonight. You can imagine that this is kind of like the post-credit sequence at the end of a Marvel movie. Every one of these guys deserves their own movie, but we're going to have to do a little bit of a teaser trailer instead. So we were going to try to pack this all in within the next 25 minutes. Again, my name is Luis, and I am just going to jump into it, guys, and I hope you don't mind if I just go right into it really quickly. George Reyeca, Chief Transport Advocate for Angkas. Wow, there's a lot of thunder coming in right now. This is getting kind of scary.
That's part of the sound effects, dude.
Yeah, man. This is a Marvel movie in the making.
Yeah.
George Reyeca, update us on Angkas. You recently integrated digital payments into your service.
Yeah.
I think your term is Angkashless, right? Is that how you guys are referring to it?
Ancash, essentially.
Ancash, okay. Tell us what that journey's been like for you guys.
Well, I think it's obviously we were quite cautiously optimistic, or maybe a little bit more nervous, because we're really at the base of the pyramid. And trying to move them from cash to, to digital was a bit of a challenge, and that's what we've always wanted to do, but never really pulled the trigger on it over the last few years. But I think it was just, very timely because of the pandemic, and when we did it, it was actually much better than what we expected. A lot of people already knew how to use digital payments. And it was quite seamless for us actually to move into that. There was maybe a few days of, maybe for the first week there was a little bit of a confusion, but I think, the fear of the tiger was much, much bigger than the actual tiger itself. And when we did it, because it was an essential requirement, almost a utility for them to use transportation, it just happened. They just do it, right? So all of our customers just followed through, and we're quite happy that we made a shift, and looking forward to being a lot more digital in terms of the payment side.
I'm really excited about what you guys are doing, and I wish we had more time to really get into it. But again, consider this a trailer for the event proper, guys. All of these guys are going to be back in November, so we're going to keep learning about what they're doing and trying to figure out exactly where this industry is heading altogether.
Thanks to a lot of good people here.
Thanks, George. Julian Marie, co-founder of the Bowtie Duck. So when I was doing research on this company earlier today, I actually got pretty close to buying some Japanese whiskey on their e-commerce platform. Unfortunately, it was 9:30 in the morning, so I felt that it was a little inappropriate. Julian, please tell us a little bit about your unique approach to food e-commerce. I'm sure that there are some viewers right now who are not familiar with what you guys are doing.
So basically, we try to fill like what was an obvious gap in the market for me. Like, and globally, it's a global phenomenon. Like e-commerce is mainly a mass market thing and not always really focusing technologically on the niche. Like niche in e-commerce is usually really basic, and I'm a tech guy, and we're trying to really put a lot of tech in what we do. So it started with we grew really fast at the beginning, and I remember after a month or two, we had like 450 deliveries to do in a day. So we started to have like algorithm to optimize all our routing, all our deliveries, to really compress the cost and the time it takes to deliver things. And now that we grew, we developed an algorithm that is basically the heartbeat of the company. So all the tasks of all the team are being scheduled by the scheduler, which is adapted from the schedule of all products, because we have oysters being flown from France. We have like products that we have on hand. So we have many different type of products, and they all have their schedules to be ultimately fresh. So we adapt the constraints that comes with the product for us to be able to deliver them at the ultimate freshness. And all the tasks of the company, like the ordering, the purchasing, the packing, the deliveries, are based on this scheduler. So it's so the core is freshness and quality of service, and technology is what allows us to do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And, you know, God willing, once this weather has abated, I will actually buy that Japanese whiskey that's already in my shopping cart with you guys. Thanks so much, Julian Marie.
Thank you.
Let's move on to our third founder, Kim Lato from Kim's Store. I'm pretty sure I've personally spent hundreds of thousands of pesos buying gadgets from your store, like to the point where I'm actually embarrassed to admit how much money I've spent on your store. So I'm actually a very big fan. I'm sure most Filipinos know how you started. Kind of the Kim Store brand has been around for many years now. I think it's almost 15 years, if not mistaken. I know that you went through what we call what you were referring to as a massive digital transformation in 2016. Tell us a little bit about what that was like for you guys, and then also kind of what you've got planned for your business. I'm sure that 2020, 2021 were very, very interesting years for you guys. Okay, Kim, I believe your audio is either down or maybe you're muted. Okay, so it looks like it's down. Okay, all right. So we're gonna get back to Kim. I'm going to move on, and then I'll come back to you, Kim, and hopefully we can get the audio sorted out in a few minutes. Constantine Roberts, co-founder of Lopad. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you for sticking around. One of DTI's stated goals is to grow our country's e-commerce enterprises to about 1 million businesses by next year. Can you give us kind of an overview of what Lopad does and how you guys are helping companies find their footing in this new space?
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for having me. I think in line with DTI's objective to create 1 million e-commerce businesses, and in line with what we've seen, especially since the pandemic, with more and more e-commerce businesses starting up, the question then is, what happens once you hit a certain mass of transactions? And for many stores, that's around selling more than 20 orders a day, it becomes pretty stressful to manage it all yourself. As a business owner, you end up spending more time picking and packing orders and arranging shipments than actually managing your business. At the same time, not just since the pandemic, but accelerated by it, we've really seen the age of like multi-channel and direct to consumer, right? There are now so many platforms out there where you as a business can sell, whether it's the marketplaces, whether it's social media, whether it's your own platforms like Shopify. Ultimately, what Loka provides is a platform that is the backbone of your multi-channel e-commerce business by giving you software, by giving you as a one-stop shop. So while the likes of Shopify and the marketplaces democratize the storefront of e-commerce, we provide the infrastructure you need to actually scale up your business and level the playing field by making it very accessible.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Constantine Roberts of Locad. Kim Lato, we're going to try you one more time. Hopefully your audio holds up. Tell us how the last few years have gone for you guys. We can hear you fine. Your audio is coming in great. Tell us how the last couple of years have been for you guys. What are you planning next? And also, I'm a big fan of your company. Just putting that out there again. Please, Kim.
Thanks, Luis. Yeah. So we started the business in 2006. We started in a social networking platform. Fast forward 2016, 10 years. We have this vision to be the Amazon of electronics in the Philippines. The only way to achieve that is to embrace the digital transformation through ICT. There's a lot of professionalizing in the organization. Just imagine an online seller, an MSME, moving forward to be an SME. But the only way is to embrace digital transformation, such as the way of building your own website. I established the website in 2013, and one of my early partners was also Dragon Pay, providing digital payments through online. And at the same time, we're also into embracing logistic partners, such as in the early adoption of cashless payments through LBC, Ninja Van, so and so. We also optimize our operations through using software such as SAP. Everything about technology. We think about technology not as just a cost, but an investment moving forward for the growth of the business. In terms of our business, as you know, Luis, we're into consumer tech, but because of the work from home culture, we were able to expand our categories, not only for mobile devices, laptops. We were also into the small appliances categories, and we're not shying away to offering AI technologies and green technology to have, should I say, for consumers to gain easier access for this technology.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim Lato of Kim Store. Thank you for joining us tonight. Moving on to a completely different kind of way to approach this industry, but also one of the most important critical parts of the Digital Pilipinas initiative, the idea of training or educating new programmers, new coders, new developers. No? With us today is Gino San Pedro of Philippine Coding Camp. He is the founder of this initiative. Gino, tell us a little bit about Philippine Coding Camp. I believe it also goes by the name Manila Coding Camp sometimes. Tell us, give us an overview of what you guys are doing, and then maybe talk about some of your goals for this year.
All right. So our startup actually started just last year amidst the pandemic. I know it's a very difficult time. A lot of people actually lost their jobs. My fellow educators, so I actually teach in college, so as well as my old classmates who are working in the industry, and including me, we were all forced to look for other jobs as the school I worked for pushed back the start of the school year, and a lot are left lost looking for opportunities to make ends meet. And aside from that, we've also seen a market for technology education. We have a lot of parents looking for extracurricular activities for their kids, as their classes have also been pushed due to the pandemic. And we pretty much just connected the dots, and that is how we started Manila Coding Camp. So our advocacy is actually to promote technology education through our company. So we actually do
And what
this.
kind of students do you guys have?
Actually, our students range from kids as young as 5 years old to professionals, and even other older generations looking to upskill and explore tech.
Wonderful, Gino. What are your next steps for 2021?
For our next steps, we actually plan. So now that we've already established the brand with the kids, we're looking to more traction and improving technical side and professionals. So we plan on partnering with different schools in improving their technology education.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Gino San Pedro from Philippine Coding Camp. You know who could use a lot of coders? Probably our next guest, Manish Bai, president of Uno Bank. They're the Philippines' first full spectrum digital bank. I had to make sure I got that part right. Manish Bai, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Full spectrum digital bank, could you just to educate the audience, I'm actually pretty sure most of the other panelists know what this is, but I don't personally know the difference. Like what is a full spectrum digital bank? What does that mean for Filipinos? Give us a taste of what your Philippine customers can look forward to with you guys.
Protect, and invest. And we intend to do that with our goal and our broader vision of making banking simpler and better. What our unique proposition is, what we are really trying to do to kind of differentiate ourselves from number of other digital banks and number of other fintech players is that our strategy is credit led. What I mean by that is this, that when you look at the credit penetration in Philippines or consumer credit, it's a big challenge today, with only 10% of Filipinos borrowing from the organized sector. When you look at consumer credit penetration, it is still at single digits, 9%, compared to some other countries in the region, like Malaysia, which is at 80%, or Indonesia, which is at 20%. So what we plan to do through our strategy is make a meaningful difference in this space, which, though there are a number of traditional banks and number of new age fintech companies doing microloans, but still 90% plus of portfolio borrowing is still being done by traditional banks. And there's a huge opportunity to kind of really disrupt that. I know the speakers earlier all through the day talked about digital revolution. Swapnendu talked about embedded finance, and talked about banking as an industry, which Bill Gates had said 20 years back that we need to take the bank out of banking. And it's as an industry which has remained least disrupted, or has been slow to kind of move. It's not easy. It's a very regulated industry, but through a digital bank, there's an opportunity to kind of make some real 20-year, 30-year kind of trend change by, and that's what we intend to do through this full spectrum journey. Is we want to make sure that services are delivered upfront in a minute. Imagine that if your credit is approved, once you've filled in your application and pressed a send button, it's all approved within 1 minute. It is very much possible today with the use of kind of technology, and with the use of kind of number of data and alternate data, which is possible. So that's what we intend to do. Very, very happy and supportive. Very happy with the way the whole Philippines ecosystem has supported us. Very happy with what the bank BSP has given us an opportunity to play a role with this innovation, and now we are just excited to get rolling as soon as possible. And hopefully you will see us in action by first quarter or second quarter of next year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Manish. So can I quote that? Uno Bank taking the bank out of banking. Does that work for everyone?
It is a quote from Bill Gates, but you are happy to attach my name to it as well.
Wonderful. I will do that. I will forget that Bill Gates said it, and I will attribute it to you from now on. Thank you so much. Jay Villarante, president of 8 Ventures. Jay is one of my close friends at the industry, and he is a cryptocurrency specialist, just like me. Jay, cryptocurrencies have been experiencing a major leap forward in their adoption this year. This is what we call a crypto bull market. Tell us a little bit about some of 8 Ventures' new initiatives. Tell us how you guys are taking advantage of this 2021 bull market that we're currently in.
So, as you know, Moneybase is 8 Ventures has multiple companies under it. We have Moneybase, Paylance, Sikuna. We started trading cryptocurrencies in 2012, and we grew our companies along the way. And obviously, this year has been great for all cryptocurrency companies such as ours. And we're just growing the many ways people can buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Right now, we're talking to a lot of brick and mortar shops trying to enable buying and selling in their outlets. Obviously, a lot of brick and mortar shops now are losing money because of the pandemic. And so they're adding more ways to make money, and cryptocurrency could be one of those. And also at 8 Ventures, because we have, as we grew our company, we're also investing in other companies. And one of those companies is Sikuna. And Sikuna is a cybersecurity community-driven platform. So we have 1,000+ good hackers. These are white hat hackers in our platform, and we're also because of the demand, more companies now are going online, and so there are more threats now, more vulnerabilities for people to lose their data, and so we're helping these startups to secure their company via Sikuna. By helping them find the vulnerabilities. So it's like the good guys finding the holes first before the bad guys do. And so that's what we're doing right now also.
Amazing. Actually, even just within this panel, I'm already seeing all sorts of synergies between all of your respective companies, and that's pretty amazing. I wish we could just dive in and really start to figure out how we can all work together on this. Hopefully we can do that over the next couple of months. Jay, before I let you go, I might as well ask this now. What's the price of Bitcoin at the end of this year?
Definitely more than 50K.
Okay, there you go. You heard it here first, panel. Thank you very much, Jay Villarante of 8 Ventures. And we're coming up to the final person on our panel now, Yang Zhang, another friend of mine from the industry. She's the managing director of Sendit. Sendit has come a long way. I actually remember having a very, very cheap lunch with the founder, Moses, in San Francisco many years ago, because neither of us had all that much money back then. They've gone through Y Combinator. They have a massive foothold in Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken. And now they are making their way in the Philippine market. Yang, tell us what the journeys look like so far for you guys. I know that Dick Chang from DragonPay just announced that you guys had made a strategic investment in DragonPay very recently. Tell us what your plans are for the Philippines.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long journey together, huh, Luis? I think that for Zen, entering the Philippines was a very directed choice. We entered for 3 reasons. I think that the regulatory regulatory landscape here was especially friendly for fintech innovation. As you know, I've experienced as a crypto founder, as I think all of us have kind of seen through working with the BSP and the SEC in the past. The second is that, you know, we saw that the Philippine economy was really poised for growth. I think that it's long overdue, and I think that we saw that, you know, all the right elements were in place. There was sort of this primordial soup, so to speak, of all the right elements that create this sort of hyper growth stage in the economy. And then finally, we had a lot of customers that were asking us to come. So I think the journey has looked really, really exciting because, you know, with the customers that we already had, regional customers who wanted us to enter the Philippines, we were able to then build a lot of really awesome first-to-market products, and of course, then offer them to customers locally as well. And so I think part of the reason we actually completed this strategic investment in DragonPay is that we believe so much in the future of, you know, Zenda in the Philippines and also of just fintech in the Philippines. I think that for us, you know, DragonPay complements the product set that we have built. I mean, we've really pushed forward, built direct debit, a couple of other products that are just really new to the market. And I think that DragonPay gives us that access to all of the traditional channels, all of the, you know, OTC channels that they've been known for years and years now, and really gives us a foothold to kind of provide that best-in-class payment solution for them. So for us, you know, we've always had a different theory on regionalization. I think a lot of companies regionalize for the sake of just having a bigger footprint. For us, we see, you know, regionalization as a commitment. Once we enter a market, we're here for the long term. We want to hyper-localize all of our products to make sure that, you know, they're catered to the local population. And so I think that the Philippines expansion is here to stay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Yang Yang. We look forward to learning more about Sendit as it rolls out more services here in the Philippines. Okay, so we are going to do one last question now for all of the panel.
Luis, before you
more,
do
yes.
that question,
Yes.
we need to all throw you a question, Luis. You're not going to get off this easily, right? Listen, we heard that recently you are the most profitable single piece artist that launched in Binance. Is that true, Mr. Buenaventura? Your hidden life, Batman. Talk about your hidden life.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Amor. I wasn't expecting that question. By the way, guys, that was not planted. That was literally just kind of happening in real time. Yes, I do dabble in this new area called NFT art. Some people call it crypto art. And then I've been very fortunate to be able to merge two of my most biggest passions in life, cryptocurrency and art, and kind of find it merging in this new space. I've been lucky enough to kind of do it since the early part of 2017. So I've been doing it for almost over 4 years now. And yeah, if you've been reading the news, some of this stuff has actually become quite profitable. And yes, I think that over the next 6 months to a year, I'm definitely going to be focusing on trying to bring it to the local art industry as much as I can. Show people how to navigate this new space. There's a lot of local artists that deserve more international recognition, and I hope that I can reach out to them as much as I can using Digital Pilipinas and other initiatives as a way to reach them. So thanks so much, Amor, for that question. I need to get us back to our final question for the panel. I'm going to go around to everyone. The question is pretty simple. What do you guys hope to achieve, or what do you guys expect out of the Digital Pilipinas initiative? You know, we're all members of this campaign now, and maybe this is the part where you can kind of tell us what you guys are hoping or looking for as part of this initiative. I'm just going to go back in the same order that we started. So I'm going to start with George from Angkas, Chief Transport Advocate for Angkas. If everyone can keep their answers to roughly about a minute or so, I think we can kind of still put this thing to bed before dinner time. Thanks so much. George Royeka,
Yes,
tell us what you guys are
I'll
looking
make
for.
sure you get to eat right away. Well, for me, it's awareness. I think, you know, Angkas has been really pushing for the last 4 years now to really create awareness in terms of how the mass market, how the basic pyramid is able to take opportunity or take advantage of, you know, digitalization. And I think with Digital Pilipinas happening, it's a really great forum for different types of stakeholders to be able to see what opportunities are there and what they can do and how they can also serve the community. So that's really what we're trying to keep pushing. Be careful what you wish for, right? It goes with that saying. And digital is now mainstream. It's with everybody, and it's not just the rich people's toys, but rather it's something that everyday people use now. And I think with more adoption on the horizon, people need to know, need to parse information between fake news, misinformation, and things that are really beneficial to them. And I hope that Digital Pilipinas will be able to keep advocating that as we move into this space, and as everybody actually moves into this space. Thanks.
Very well said, George. Thank you so much. Julian Marie, over to you.
I think this kind of reunion of talents creates synergies, but also it becomes like a turbocharger of all this energy, because we all need each other to move forward. In e-commerce, I need logistics, I need payment solutions, I need all this to be able to function, and we all need each other in our respective fields. So by turbocharging all together the environment in the Philippines, we can go to the next gear this year, and next year it will be even faster. And there is a lot to do, a lot of energy to and many projects and challenges that are waiting for us in the coming years. But I think that's this kind of initiatives that will make the Philippines go faster to the digitalization.
Thank you, Julian Marie. Kim Lato of Kim Store, over to you. Kim, your audio is off, no? I think.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
This is my first time to join the Digital Pilipinas movement, and it's very important for Digital Pilipinas movement to grow. So as Digital Pilipinas grow, we grow, and we have a stronger voice to create or demand or enact for the digital transformation. More so, it will inspire budding and aspiring tech and digital leaders in building e-commerce and ICT in the country. And in the next few months, next few years, definitely it will uplift digital transformation in the Philippines.
Wonderful, Kim Lato. Thank you so much. Constantine Roberts, I believe you are here. Can you hear me? Wonderful.
Yes, I hear you. Can you not see me anymore?
Yeah, no. We can see you now. Thank you so much. I was worried that you might have gotten disconnected. Over to you. What do you think? What are you expecting from the Digital Pilipinas movement?
Yeah, I think mainly it's to continue using digitalization and the digital economy, whether it's e-commerce, fintech, or any of the other areas, to level the playing field and build a more inclusive economy, right? More business opportunities for everyone, from large brands to SMEs, more regional equalization, and ultimately more opportunities for businesses to grow, to provide employment, and for entrepreneurs to go from a sustaining level to a level where they can really grow their companies. I think whether it's e-commerce or the digital economy overall, one of the biggest benefits has always been that it has this democratizing element of leveling the playing field and provides a lot of opportunities and, in a way, equal access. And I think with more and more platforms and enabling services coming along, it becomes more accessible and easier to build and grow digital businesses. So I think that's what the Digital Filipina movement should be about, inclusive growth in the digital economy.
Very cool, Constantine Roberts. Thank you so much. Gino San Pedro, you are slightly different from the panel because you focus almost exclusively on education. So what are you looking for from Digital Pilipinas in the context of Philippine Coding Camp? I think you might be muted, Gino.
All right. I actually see the as a platform for opening doors and creating opportunities for a digital Filipinas. Here in this movement, we have lawmakers, industry leaders, and other enablers of technology. And given all of the discussion so far, I can really see a very promising future for the Philippines. So here at Manila Coding Camp, at Philippine Coding Camp rather, we're here to enable the future generation and equipping them with the right technology education in order to make this a reality. So basically, the next step for Digital Filipinas is pretty much just implementation of all of these initiatives. Since it's changed, there might be a learning curve, but nothing is impossible, and I believe a Digital Filipinas can be achieved.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gino San Pedro of Philippine Coding Camp. Manish Bai, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. What do you expect? What does Uno Bank expect from Digital Filipinas?
Thanks, Luis. I can hear you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. Yes.
My one word summary is collaboration. And I have spoken about it a number of times before, is that our key strategy is around partnerships and ecosystem. That's a huge differentiator for us. The way we look at the whole ecosystem is that there are no competitors. There is an opportunity to kind of partner with every fintech, partner with the existing banks, there's an opportunity to partner with almost everyone who's been in the forum today. And that's our strategy of kind of scaling up and making sure we enter the right partnerships to be able to deliver the most optimal product faster to the people. And I really look upon this forum to build these relationships and make sure that Amor keeps bringing the right partnerships our way.
Very cool, Manish. Thank you so much. Jay Villarante, you said Bitcoin was definitely going to be over $50,000, but that's not the question. What does 8 Ventures, Moneybees, and your family of companies expect from Digital Pilipinas?
Just like other panelists said, we want Digital Pilipinas to succeed and grow further. Of course, in terms of the number of startups that get exposed because of with the help of Digital Pilipinas, and of course the audience that will also grow because and inspire other people to also start their own company and serve the people via entrepreneurship. And yeah, basically we want also from 8 Ventures to continuously help this initiative.
Thank you so much, Jay Villarante. Yang Zhang, tell us where you guys are at with your Digital Pilipinas participation, and what do you expect from this initiative?
I think for us, one of the biggest parts of our mission is to promote financial inclusion here in the Philippines. So I think that for us, what we're hoping from this initiative is that it will promote more discourse on how all of our individual initiatives, whatever industry we're in, will work together to promote financial inclusion and also give us better insights about how we can shape our roadmap around, what everyone else is doing in the community as well. So I think for us is very much about like encouraging that type of discussion and then being able to find synergy in our roadmaps and our initiatives moving forward.
Thank you so much, Yang. Gosh, everyone was so articulate. Guys.
Hi, Luis. Before we close, if you'd allow me, one word, which is family, right? That's, I think, the one word that ties us all together. I'll tell you guys, you're probably one of the funner panels. Guess what Trey Gutierrez messaged? Amor, why aren't I in this panel, right? So it was like, Trey was like, go behave. Yes, we will have something on esports and gaming. He wanted to join in and crash the panel. So very, very quickly, before we turn it over to closing, Jay is our real life V for Vendetta. We're galvanizing a group of white hat hackers with the Department of National Defense, right? Real life Batman. That's what he is. Kim Lato is going to be championing the youth, right? She is one of the oldest startups at 15 years old, and she hasn't even reached 35 years old, right? My goodness, unbelievable. And to fuel all of our, I love what Julian said about turbocharging, right? And it's not just because of whiskey, right? Gosh, 9 o'clock, it shouldn't bar you. That's what you call hashtag day drinking. Hi, there are 3 time zones represented here, right? Happy birthday to our original family member, Mr. Cons Roberts. And thank you for championing Pinoy e-commerce superstars everywhere. You got partners in the second panel via UBX and also in the first one. And talk about family, Yang Yang. Not only have we seen you invest time and effort in the Philippines, we've seen you married in the fintech community, and we welcome the first digital Pilipinas baby to the fold, right? So we're all very excited. Thank you for staying up so late. And guys, we shall see all of you. No, of course, Gino, who is our youngest member of the family, is going to be converting every student one coder at a time. Hang on. And I'll see you all in Singapore because Manish promised that he's going to treat us all to lunch, right? Manish, I'm holding you to that. There are close to 1,000 plus people here, and that's as good as a smart contract. Last but not the least, right? George Royeca said, walang iwanan. And thank you so much from very, very rainy Philippines. And we still have very third world problems like connectivity. I turn it over to you, Kuya Luis.
Thanks so much, Amar. Guys, we did it. We got it under time, unbelievably. And all of you were amazing. We need to do that picture because that is kind of how it's pick or it didn't happen, right? I believe that's what the kids say. I heard that somewhere. Who's going to take this picture? Do we have a director? Is Carla going to guide us? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much, everyone. And that was it. That's the final panel for Digital Pilipinas' kickoff event tonight. Amor, are you going to, am I going to hand it over to you for closing? Carla is going to take over from now on. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching.
Doesn't she sound amazing? I thought she was an AI. She sounds amazing.
I thought it was the Philippine Airlines voiceover. Actually, I kept expecting her to tell me to put my seatbelt on. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. This was a fun little event, and we've got more to come. The Digital Pilipinas is just getting started. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis, Amor, and panel, and thank you to everyone for being here today. Utmost gratitude and acknowledgements are in order for the people and organizations behind this monumental event. Digital Pilipinas is convened by Geyser Maklang in collaboration with the World Fintech Festival and the Singapore Fintech Festival. Supported by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Department of Finance, the Department of Trade and Industry, along with ASEAN Financial Innovation Network, the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines, the Fintech Philippines Association, Global Impact Fintech, and the Women's Future Conference. And our private community partners, Angpas, DragonPay, GCash, KPMG in the Philippines, Insular Life, Overseas Filipino Bank, The Final Pitch, Tier 1 Entertainment, Union Bank of the Philippines, Kim Store, Unobank, and Sendit, and of course to the many more groups and associations comprising our movement, Digital Pilipinas.
Asenso. Maraming bagong oportunidad, potensyal na mapapalawak. Mapanegosyo o consumer, kasama ka sa biyaheng ito. With market market access, digitalization, and logistics integration. Sulong Pilipinas, madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado, nasa kamay mo ang lahat. Basta e-commerce, sabay-sabay ang pag-angat. Basta e-commerce, isang click na lang yan. Online selling at online shopping, lahat ng iyong hanap-hanap ay nasa'yo na sa isang iglap. Maraming bagong paraan, kung trabaho ang iyong kailangan, mundo ang iyong merkado, ipakita mo kung ano ang kaya mo. With market access, digitalization, and logistics integration. Sulong Pilipinas, madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado, nasa kamay mo ang lahat. Basta e-commerce, sabay-sabay ang pag-angat. Basta e-commerce, madali at ligtas, walang hassle. Madali, mabilis, sigurado. Madali, madali, basta e-commerce. Madali, madali, basta e-commerce.
The world of today may have changed, yet our belief has always stayed the same. Everyone deserves the good. That's why we've changed for the better. We've made ourselves better, so we can reach those who have just begun to chase after their dreams. So we can give women the light by which to guide their families to a better tomorrow. So we can realize the hope that every Filipino harbors and move forward, leaving no one behind. We're better today, because today is what shapes the future. And in the future, we see everyone leading a lifetime for good. In life, a lifetime for good.
As we wake up to a now changed world, we want you to know DragonPay is with you. We want you to continue with your own journey. A journey that is safe and hassle-free. Pay for the things you want, anytime, anywhere, while keeping your social distance. Build relationships in one tap and create moments that help protect the people you love. Stay motivated without forgetting the things that matter, the things that last forever. And when this is all over, we'll celebrate life in a different way. Because life is better with Dragon Pay.
It's been an exciting journey from incorporating new technologies to understanding our customers' needs. Our ambition at UNO is to be the first full-service digital bank in Southeast Asia. We are creating a single trusted app for addressing a person's entire financial life with speed and ease. That is the power of one.
Whether you're a small business owner or running an enterprise, managing payments is a sensitive and complex matter. When it comes to accepting and sending payments, you want security, speed, and choice. Setting up and integrating with each payment partner individually can be time-consuming. Your solution? Zendit, your secure payment gateway that simplifies online transactions for every business. Zendit is secure, easy to use, quick to integrate with, and supported by a world-class customer success team. Join hundreds of other growing businesses and get started with Zendit today.
Again, this is just a preview of what is next to come. Digital Pilipinas is a multi-month initiative with supporting events on technology and digitalization as we count down to the World Fintech Festival in November. Our age-old problems from financial inequality to underdeveloped smart cities to cyber insecurity and vulnerability, among others, have persisted long enough. It is time we face this battle properly armed with technology to secure our future. But we must all join the movement in this whole-of-nation, whole-of-country approach. We look forward to seeing all of you in our upcoming events, so we encourage everyone to register for events and conferences under the Digital Pilipinas umbrella. As to not miss out, you can go to the official Digital Pilipinas website, digitalpilipinas.ph, and join the movement and mailing list. You can also get updates by following Digital Pilipinas on Facebook via facebook.com/digital-Pilipinas. On behalf of our regional and national partners, co-conveners, and supporters, thank you for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your evening.